And then once that happens, we will need to close. Hold on one second. Let's close this so it doesn't. Okay, go back to Zoom. I'm sorry.
All right.
Okay, so these, does this person need to be in?
I'm gonna put Sonny Pittman needs to be in.
Okay, so then, that's gonna be,
Commissioner Pittman, we needed you to accept. We tried to put you in the breakout room. You have to actually accept the invitation.
click join. I mean, I'm sorry, tell him to click join.
You have to hit the join button. Can you hear me, Commissioner Pittman?
You got it.
Okay, Ms. Scott.
No, Ms. Scott is the Board of Education liaison.
Okay, all right.
So,
Let me.
No.
Okay, at this point, we have all of the planning commissioners who have dialed in, moved into the breakout session. This is part of the executive session. It will not be broadcast. Whatever decision you guys make, if any are made during this process, when we come out of executive session, if there is a decision made, you'll make that portion of it public. But this time, I'm going to turn it over to Chairman O'Neill and legal to discuss the topic.
Yeah.
which is why she's having to do all this, to do the executive session thing.
Ah,
to change it.
is it for the park? The proposed park that they, that I'm naming?
It's for Dennis Road.
Oh, oh, okay.
They want to discuss the
Legal parameters. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is gonna be a late one for us. Normally when I'm doing the notes and stuff for the PowerPoint, so like, well, like, the details, so much
Some of
detail.
them had to get a little, well, Richmond Hill Road can be done in one presentation.
Yeah, that one, yeah, yeah, yeah. Mhm.
The Skinner Road, they've heard all they're gonna hear, it's just
Yeah,
now what to do.
I just put a little bit of recap on that one, but you're right, that dog has been beaten.
And nobody's gonna be happy, so
Not in that neighborhood, yeah, I agree.
unfortunately.
This is probably the best they can get.
And two should be no big deal.
So, yeah, that's a breeze too.
Honestly, the ones that we know that are gonna be hot button ones are the only ones I think really are there. And the public hearing will be an open and a closed, you know, so if I do, that won't be anything.
Mhm.
I emailed them all, I never heard back from them.
Who? The commissioner?
Commissioner Johnson and Takia Douse, because she's part of the
They
facility.
probably even check their emails this morning. Hopefully this doesn't take too long.
It's funny, the first few times I was observing, I'd go back to the league and I'm like, it was quiet. And then there's an exciting one, you know?
Yeah, I think the petition, one of the petitions we got was like 94 citizens, and it came in today, so it's like, we shall see.
All opposed, that's right?
Hmm.
All opposed, that's right?
Uh-huh. I'm like, where did we find all these people?
There's a couple of neighborhoods around there.
Yeah, you're right.
What's being proposed then?
It's the convenience store off of Tobacco Road in Barrington. And then we have the Dennis Road where they're meeting for the executive session. You know, the Mayo Townhome subdivision is opposed to that, Dennis Road, development.
All right, you all should be gradually popping in.
Is Attorney Brown still available? I'd like to get the wording of that.
He's coming. Everybody's coming. Give me a few more minutes. I got about 2 more people still transitioning over.
Thank you. And while they're transitioning, Attorney Brown, that wording again,
Sir,
the wording again, the motion.
to execute closed meeting affidavit.
Commissioners, again, entertain a motion to execute closed meeting affidavit.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Oh.
Attorney Brown?
Yes, I will prepare that for the chairperson to execute.
Thank you. Now we're back in our regular pre-meeting, public meeting.
Yes, sir.
And before we look at Z 2121, am I looking at it correct?
Are you ready for me to admit the rest of the public? That
Yes.
they've gone for the pre-meeting?
Yes, and Carla, can you tell me, did we have a case that we're moving or I need to bring to the front of the meeting?
I don't know about moving one up, but I know we had the continuation of 108 Skinner Road.
I'll try to find it.
And
Yes.
then, well, the Harper Franklin, number 11 on your agenda packet, that particular one is going to be moved to the May meeting because of the Fort Gordon notification. So item number 11 will be continued. So when we open the May meeting, there'll have to be a motion for that.
That's when I was at. Item 11, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and start letting the public in. This meeting is going to run a little differently because we don't have the webinar option running as a panelist. So I'll have to mute people a lot as opposed to being able to mute a group and only the panelists speak. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. It goes a little bit different from the way we usually do it, okay?
And I'm clocking that we have 25 minutes left, so I don't think we're going to be able to get through all the cases before regular session at 3 o'clock.
Right,
But we're trying to push as far as we can, okay?
okay? I'll go ahead and admit.
All right.
Over to you, Chairman.
We are back in our pre-meeting. First item, Z 2121.
Yes. So do you want us to give more of an abbreviated version of each case, or do you want us to present the information time around time?
That would be fine, Kevin. I think you say you'll be able to present it a little more abbreviated piece
Okay.
for us. Okay.
Okay. So Z-21-21 is 108 Skinner Road, and this is request we are pretty familiar with. The revised request is to construct 6 apartment units within 2 one-story buildings, each facing Skinner Road. The combined heated space would be reduced to 6,500 square feet, and the overall parking would go from 29 to 17 spaces. The proposed elevation will be of a contemporary design of a classic A frame roof line, brick and vinyl accents. So staff has modified the report to include sidewalks. This is after finding out that Chick-fil-A, the adjacent parcel to the north, is seeking to redo their site. And our county engineer is in support of the new configuration, with the primary access being off of Skinner Road for Chick-fil-A. They are seeking to expand the building and create an additional drive-through lane for up to 44 parking stacked vehicles. And so we're modifying the condition to also extend the sidewalks along the subject property for the apartments. But from our pre-meeting, nothing else really has changed. In the PowerPoint presentation, you're going to see the 2 options that was discussed during the neighborhood meeting of the buildings both facing Skinner and both buildings facing south towards as the second option, both buildings facing south towards the subdivision. So those will be the two options that we'll be voting on, and we'll give a more complete presentation during the meeting.
Thank you. Are there any questions about this case? Sonny, your microphone is. No. You're still muted. Okay. Are there any other comments from any other commissioners? Give Sonny just a second. I know he was trying to unmute his microphone. Okay.
No, I just did it.
Sonny, we can hear you now.
Kevin,
Yes.
in your recommendation, item number 2, page 7,
Okay.
that's contrary to what you've got above all else. You say proposed buildings shall not exceed 2 stories nor contain more than 6 total units.
That is correct. That should be.
It should be 1 story.
That's right. And 6 total dwelling units. Thanks for that catch there.
You agree?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Hear none. Next case.
All right, next item on the agenda is Z-21-23. This is 711 Central Avenue. The request is for approval of a special exception to allow for a group of buildings to exceed the maximum floor area of 15,000 square feet of property situated in the B1 neighborhood business zone. This request will replace a structure that was recently demolished in, last year around January of 2020. It was a 5,200 square foot building. This building will be replaced with a 4,000 square foot office warehouse building for Pollock. Is a local business that specializes in office equipment and supplies. And this 4,000 square foot building will be positioned off of Holden Court, which is a dead end road. It's a local road. It would be the only building on the property facing that street. The main building, which is 2 attached buildings, has a combined square footage of 17,000 square feet, is positioned off of Central. And so this request, in essence, will allow for expansion of the property, and the lot is a little less than 2 acres. So staff find that request is consistent with our development policies. The scale would be proper with the surrounding area, and the site more than accommodates this proposal. Alternatively, if this request is denied, they could subdivide this tract and have it as a standalone site for the proposed building. And that concludes this special exception request.
Yep. Are there any comments, questions about this case? Okay. Hear none. Next.
Next request is Z-21-24. This is the property located at 3055 and 3061 Dennis Road. This is the request to construct 22 townhome units on the subject property. Actually involves 2 tracts of land, one measuring 0.24 acres, the other being 3.78 acre parcel. The property will have a stormwater retention position at the northwest corner lot. No amenities have been planned at this time, not revealed on the site plan. The proposal is to create access to the subdivision through two internal streets, with the street tying into Dennis Road. Our county engineer said that Dennis Road would project is part of a joint venture between the two counties. Anticipate, and that's for Stevens Creek, I'm sorry, is part of the Stevens Creek project is between the joint venture between both counties, and that Dennis Road will be improved following improvements to Stevens Creek. And that would happen, that project is slated for 2024 to 2025. He finds that the subdivision, this is an important note, he finds that the subdivision proposed would not adversely affect the overall safety conditions of Dennis Road. The applicant did not show improvements to Alice Road, but the Augusta Fire Department will require Alice Lane, I'm sorry, will be improved from the intersection to lot 17, which is shown on the plan. So they propose lots off of Alice Lane, which will have to be improved along those lots. The property does not have access to sanitary sewer, and so the developer will have to coordinate with Columbia County to provide access to sewer to the property. The property does not have floodplains, but there are localized wetlands in the northwest corner of the property. And staff finds that a proposal is consistent with the 2018 comprehensive plan as it relates to surrounding uses and nearby zoning. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Are there any questions about this case?
No.
All right, next case.
Next case is Z-21-25, and this is a companion item. And so there's a request for a rezoning request, and then the following request is for a special exception to allow for a congregate home at a property located at 2620 Richmond Hill Road. This is a request for 15 clients. The applicant was approved a special exception for a personal care home back in 2009 for 6 clients and has been operating since 2010. The applicant has expanded her business to include 9 residents, and she cited that she received approval from the state. We had no evidence or any information to back that from the local level. So the additional 3 clients is not supported under her current zoning. And so with this request, it basically brings her up to 15 and legitimizes, the existing conditions. And so the request is for R3A zoning, which is the minimum zoning needed to request for a congregate home. Is it congregate? Group home. So she's seeking for the group home. So the special exception is for a group personal care home, which requires the R3A zoning. So these are 2 companion items that both have to be approved in order for us to establish the group personal care home.
All right, are there any questions about these 2 companion items?
No.
Okay. Next.
All right, so the next request is Z-21-27. And this request is rezoning from B2 general business to a PUD, planned unit development, property located at 1285 Broad Street. The applicants are seeking rezoning to PUD to construct a 70,000 square foot mixed use development with 58 1-bedroom units, would not contain 2-bed or 3-bed units, and 2,500 square feet a commercial retail office space. This property measures 0.83 acres and is situated downtown between Broad and Jones Street. We found that there are two bus stops within 400 feet of the site. The request is to have commercial on the first floor adjacent to Broad Street. So you have that street front access along Broad, and then apartments would comprise the vast majority of the property or the development be occupied on the first, second, third, and fourth levels. So it's a 4-story building. Amenities include indoor mailroom, bike parking in lobby areas on the main level, and security access and outdoor patio area for residents. The height and scale of being 4 stories would correspond with nearby buildings within the block, notably the Marbury Center, the old firehouse. And the exterior facades will include brick, cement trim. It's going to be a more contemporary look and will require approval through the Historic Preservation Commission. They are seeking to exceed the density, which is currently allowed in the zoning of B2. So B2 limits density of 29 units per acre. Given the small lot size being less than an acre, there are about 70 units per acre based on their lot size and the number of units. They're also seeking reductions with this PUD, with Broad Street being 5 feet, building line for the building, Jones a 0-foot setback, 0 to 3 on the sides. And we don't want the building to necessarily be within 0 and 3 feet.
Yeah.
Just because of the maintenance concerns. So if it is not placed on the property line, it needs to be set back 3 feet on the side. So that's important. The request is within 1,300 feet of area parks, and it is consistent with the comprehensive plan, which encourages downtown living through efforts to revitalize vacant and utilize lots. That concludes this presentation.
Thank you. Are there any questions about this case? None? Okay. Next. Sonny, are you saying something? Sonny, your microphone is off. Okay.
Kevin,
Yes.
my notes from our prior meeting mentioned parking. There being no parking, we'll have to use public parking. Did that ever get resolved?
So with the situation we're in with this particular property, parking is exempt for the downtown area, but just as a courtesy, it would behoove the developer to have available parking for the future residents, and that was sort of the nexus of that conversation. And so what the developer has proposed to us is for the adjacent lot to the north across the street on Jones. They do own that property as well. It's a surface lot containing 58 parking spaces, and they have committed to, they haven't provided us with any details on the matter, but they have committed to providing that parking lot for their future residents.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Next.
All right. And the next case is Z-21-28. This property located at 1501 Aviation Way. This request is to make sure I got everything here.
Kevin, I'm here if you'd like me to.
You got it? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Quickly, this is a 77-acre piece of property located at the airport. It has traditionally been zoned A, agricultural. The concept plan presented with the application showed 4 hangar buildings, ramps, and a taxiway, and then associated parking so that people could park there at the hangar buildings, and they would access the area from a driveway off of Aviation Way coming off of Cargo Road. Building height is allowed to be 300 feet in the HI zoning. However, whatever building height they end up using, FAA will have to approve that. There is special flood hazard area on the northern part of the property, although the buildings proposed should not have any flood risk based on the base flood elevation of that flood zone. There's wetlands on the subject property, so the applicant will have to do a core permit if they decide to disturb that wetlands, and it does look like they will. And there's airport uses and industrial uses scattered throughout the area, with most of the industrial uses being light industrial. And then there's a lot of undeveloped property, mostly in the Finnissy Swamp to the east of the airport. And the 2008 comprehensive plan calls for expansion of industrial uses in the East Augusta planning area. Staff is recommending approval subject to conditions.
All right. Are there any questions about this case? Next.
Is Z-21-29. This is a property involving 2657 Tobacco Road. Applicant requests for B2 zoning to develop a convenience store, including a gas canopy and storage area. This property is currently a zone agricultural. It's situated right there at the corner, at the intersection of Tobacco Road and Barrington Drive. The tract is a little less than an acre in size, 0.98 acres. Remains undeveloped at this time. The proposal is for a 4,300 square foot convenience store. 1,200 square feet will be dedicated to storage, as indicated on the plan. That can change. And the gas canopy will contain 4 service fuel pumps. This location for the gas station and the building does satisfy the setbacks. There is a one main entrance and then an exit only. The main entrance would be to the property would be right off the intersection of the 2 roads. The concept plan is similar to previous rezoning requests for this property, but it does eliminate 5 off-street parking. And that was for the expansion of the drain field area, since this property would not have access to sanitary sewer. This property lacks parking necessary. There are 14 spaces, we counted. There are 8 spaces on the gas canopy that cannot be counted. Those in areas that are for temporary parking are not allocated or calculated towards the required parking. We did find, based on the parking calculation or the trip duration calculation, that there will be upwards of 1,100 customers per day visiting the property. That's from the Association of Convenience and Fuel Retailing. And so that will bring a lot of people to the site. The property does not contain FEMA floodplains or wetlands. And staff finds that the convenience store is incompatible with surrounding zoning and the land uses at this intersection. Comprehensive plan calls for confining commercial and professional zone areas for development to designated intersections. And so this node intersection has yet to develop for this particular type of use, for this high intensity commercial use. And that concludes this presentation.
Are there any questions about this case? Next.
All right, so the next one is Z-21-30. This is a request for rezoning of the property located at 2370 Willis Foreman Road. There's a request to rezone to R1C, one family residential, to develop 299 lots. This calculates to about 2.01 lots per acre. The max allowed is 7.2 lots per acre. The request involves a tract that measures 148 acres located off of Willis Foreman. Site is undeveloped at this time. The property is part R1 and R1C. About 29 acres is already zoned for the requested district. The remaining will have to be rezoned to allow for the 62-foot wide lots that are being proposed. And these lots will be about 6,000 square feet in size. They are proposing 3 entrances, the main being off of Willis Foreman, and the other 2 will connect to existing subdivision to the east of the property. And I'm gonna keep it short on this one since I believe we may have one more. We have one more. So this is pretty straightforward, and we'll have the site plans to show you during the presentation.
Was that it, Kevin?
This concludes staff's presentation.
Any questions about this case? Okay, last one.
And the last one, if Terry is still available, is Z-21-31. She may not be available. So this is a request, I believe they're seeking for HI zoning, heavy industrial zoning for elevated gas tanks on the property. And so the surrounding area is reflective of light and heavy industrial. This property is situated on the east side of 520, and it is bound by streets on all 4 sides. And so the property is situated in the flood area protected by the levee. So there were conditions she added in the report to place controls in the event of any widespread flooding, that it doesn't cause a hazardous situation, and that it complies with the stormwater floodplain ordinance, and then that it also complies with aspects of the Augusta tree ordinances. There will be tree buffers required around the entire property with all the street frontage. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Is
Kevin,
there
if I
any?
may, there was some concern at the meeting about fire protection, and this will be a double wall tank and will be required to have periodic inspections by the fire department. And we put a condition on it that it be approved by the fire department and that it have periodic inspections.
Any other questions on this case? And that is it. We are about to close our pre-meeting. Commissioners, do you need a 5-minute break before we start? If you do, tell me now.
Yes.
Okay, then let's adjourn and be back at 3:06.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Pittman?
have we still got the public hearing on the renaming?
Yes, I'll be following our meeting.
Thank you.
I don't know if I what'd you do? Nothing. It's right here. But I didn't get turn that.
Kevin, you want to test the share screen for your PowerPoint?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go up real quick and just put the PowerPoint on the flash drive and come back real quick.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I have the note, the governing body note, whenever you want that read.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have that note on the governing body if you need that, when you need that.
Thank you. Are you going to read it for us?
I can, yeah.
Thank you. Lois, we don't need a motion to move 11, do we?
No, you just need to make an announcement on that one because that was postponed before the deadline.
Okay.
Well, in that case, I won't be able to control.
Chairman,
Commissioner Cooks.
yeah, you got a whole lot of folks from that neighborhood following this today, so you need to make sure you announce that early.
Okay. For item 11.
Yes.
Yeah. After Lois reads the notes, then I'll call it out.
Carly, I'm not able to share the screen.
Okay, hold on, let me send it back to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Try it now.
Yep.
Chairman O'Neill, because of the format of this particular meeting, would it be okay if I did mute all while the staff is presenting, just so, because we have a lot of the public on, and some of the features are a little different in this format.
Sure. Will the commissioners know that they're muted? So, because most of the time,
Everyone would be muted until they try to speak. Sorry, but it's only because of the number. Trying to figure out a way to do it.
is there a way that the commissioners going to unmute themselves?
Yes.
Okay. So commissioners, make sure before you start talking, you check your microphone to make sure you're not muted.
I have a question. I'm sorry. I know my visual is terrible, but can you hear me?
I can.
Since we have so much interest in that one particular issue, is there any possible way you can discreetly remind them that they should not be repeating the same information over and over again, that they need to elect a spokesman or something? Can they do that? I mean, is there some way we can limit? Because we don't need 10 people talking for 10 minutes each on, it's going to ruin my neighborhood. I mean,
Lois, and with the notice that Lois will read will address some of that, and we do give each party 10 minutes each to bring new evidence, new comments to the table.
It is 10 minutes in total, not 10 minutes per.
total 10 minutes, right? Not 10 minutes each.
Correct.
Okay, good. So if one person gets up there and goes on for 8 minutes, well,
I will only give you a balance of 2 minutes.
okay. I just want to make sure we don't stay here till 9 o'clock tonight.
Okay, so I am showing 308. I believe we have everyone in place, waiting for Attorney Brown. But I think, Lois, we can go ahead and start.
All right. The Augusta, Georgia Planning Commission is a recommending body. The final decision on all zoning matters coming before it will be made by the Augusta on Tuesday, April 20th, 2021, beginning at 2 p.m. in this room, the Augusta Commission chambers of the municipal building. The Planning Commission makes the final decision on all variances, including subdivision regulations. A handout describing the zoning procedure from which these cases are decided is available upon request. These procedures also require that any applicant for a rezoning action or any opponent to an application for a rezoning action who has made contributions aggregating $250 or more to a local government official within 2 years of the zoning application file a disclosure report with the governing authority. The disclosure report must be filed within 10 calendar days of filing the application and at least 10 calendar days prior to today's hearing. A minimum of 10 minutes shall be afforded for the presentation of data, evidence, and opinions on each side of a rezoning petition or a special exception. If more than 10 minutes is afforded to one side, then an equal amount of time shall be afforded to the other. The Commission encourages participation in this hearing, and there is no restriction on who may address the Commission within the allotted time, but the Commission asks that public comments be brief, on subject, and non-repetitive, and directed to the Commission, not to any individual or group.
Thank you.
And as we have established in the last few months, there will be a roll call vote for each item.
Okay. And for those of you who are on the call, and you're here for item 11, which is concerning the Harper Franklin Group, that case has been moved to next month. So we invite you to stay on the phone call, but you will not be hearing anything of that. So if you have something else to do today, please do, but come back for next month to hear that case. And with that, we are ready for our first case.
Okay, Chairman, I'll get started with the first item. It's Z2121. It's a petition by Yagi Nihi Puri requesting a change of zoning from zone R1A, one family residential, to zone R3A, multiple family residential, affecting property containing 0.77 acres and known as 108 Skinner Road. It's tax map 11, parcel 178. This was continued from the March 1st, 2021 meeting.
So the zoning case Z-2121 involves 1803 Skinner Road. This property is currently situated in the R1A zone. The applicant is requested for R3A, multiple family residential. And this is for 6 total apartment buildings, units containing 2 apartment buildings, 1 story each. Back in December, the request was for 16 units and 2 two-story buildings. This property is situated next to the Washington Road commercial corridor, and the property is directly across from a 36,000 square foot shopping center to the west, and directly south of Chick-fil-A, which is situated in the B2 zone. So the buildings will have a combined heated area of 6,572 square feet, down from the original request of 7,560 square feet. Overall parking will be reduced from 29 down to 17 spaces. The two layouts that have been provided shows one of Skinner, that both buildings facing Skinner Road, as you see here. And the alternate layout is to have the two buildings, one-story buildings, to face south towards the subdivision. The property, with the first being favored by the Planning Commission, the property is situated near Washington Street commercial corridor. And as I stated, there is a shopping center directly across the street on Skinner. Chick-fil-A is located immediately to the north. The property the owners of the property have submitted preliminary plans to expand the restaurant and create longer drive-through lanes or larger drive-through lanes with primary access off of Skinner Road. Our county engineer supports the new layout, but adds that installation of sidewalks will be required. And so we added that as a condition of this subject property, the approval of this request as well, to extend sidewalks along Skinner adjacent to the property. The building layout for the plan that staff is recommending shows the structures in line with the homes within the subdivision. The first building will measure 83 feet from the road, Skinner Road, which is considered a local street. The property is within 700 feet of a bus stop. Staff finds that the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan, which provides a suitable transition from the residential to commercial land uses. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Is the petitioner present?
He's coming, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And please give us your name, address, and the purpose of your petition again.
The developer, Chris Gray, B&B Commercial. The owners are present with me, just like the last meetings. We're just trying to get this approved to put an apartment complex right there. We have went from 16 to 12 to 6 now. You know, trying to appease everyone and try to find the right balance for everything.
Sure, you can give us your address one more time.
Oh, I'm sorry, 1315 West Martintown Road in North Augusta.
Thank you. Is there anyone in objection to this petition?
We have to show of hands for those in objection or here for questions. Five in person.
Mr. Chair, I'm not sure how many may be online.
Okay, is there a representative that wants to speak on their behalf?
Yes, they're coming.
Okay. Please give us your name, your address, and your objection.
Good afternoon. My name is Sarah Stenga. I live out at 200 Skinner Road, approximately 7 houses down from this particular property. As a resident of that area, I've met with some of the other neighbors, and our biggest concerns are the traffic flow, both with Chick-fil-A and with the added number of vehicles coming in and out of this one entrance. The street is extremely narrow, and also extremely congested at particular times during the day. Our other concern is the property values and the way that the addition of 6 units on less than 1 acre will affect the neighboring properties. majority of the neighbors, or the majority of the homes in the neighborhood are on about 3/4 of an acre to up to 5 acres, all single-family residential homes, the majority of which have been very well maintained, updated. And then our final concern is that the utilities coming in and out of the neighborhood, as that is one of the main access roads to our portion of this neighborhood, the construction, everything blocking us from being able to access that area.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Yes, one more is coming, sir.
Please give us your name, your address, and nature of your objection.
Yes, sir. My name is Sean Merzlak, and I live at 110 Skinner Road, the property that is directly south of the proposed development. My objections are quite different from the majority of the neighborhood, being that I'm the property owner that lives directly next to this. Both my property as well as 108, the proposed development property, completely face heavy commercial. 108, on the northern side also faces heavy commercial. My concern is primarily about my property value and what is going to happen there. On this proposed diagram, I just think the 0.7 acres that they're trying to place this on, the property is too narrow. It places the major thoroughfare entrance for and driveway for the subdivision within probably 35 feet of my bedroom window. I bought my property there next to a single family residence. And I don't think that this property is wide enough to provide a significant buffer between the high density and the single family housing. The diagram shows, a privacy fence and 8 trees that are going to be installed. There's already significant amounts of lighting that comes from Washington Road and Chick-fil-A and all those businesses into my backyard. Clearing the property completely and throwing up, 8 6-foot trees is not really going to do anything to buffer this high density housing from my property. I think that there is a way for that property to be developed along with my property that would provide about 50 to 60 feet of heavily landscape buffer between the neighborhood and any proposed housing project. I've spoken with the owner of the property, and we just haven't gotten anywhere at this point. But my main concerns are for me having, my well-maintained house, and all of a sudden now there's an apartment complex right next door with a 6-foot privacy fence, and then the traffic issue of the main driveway being right next to my, 35 feet away from my bedroom window. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any others?
No, Mr. Chairman, not at this time.
Thank you. Petitioner, are you still available? Or is there anything else that you would like to add? I have you about a balance of 3 minutes.
Yeah, just real quick, if I could address a couple comments that they made. Obviously, there's 2 different issues. I believe it was Mr. Sean, he alluded to that, he understands that this is next to his house, but even he had tried to reach out to the owner about proposing a
Mr.
plan
Chairman?
that would allow for townhomes or apartments on his property as well. So I don't know what quite the issue is there as far as the traffic goes. And, I don't think whether this gets built or doesn't get built, the traffic, 6 units, 17 parking spots, even if you didn't put them in, the traffic it is what it is as of today. It's a thoroughfare that a lot of people go through. I use it all the time to cut to other projects that I have over on Warren on Old Skinner Mill Road. Chick-fil-A, they're going to probably expand. They use right now, even though they have a main entrance on Washington Road, they do use that side entrance So whether these apartments go in or not, I don't think it's going to change the traffic issue that we're facing right now, just based on my personal opinion.
All right.
Mr. Chairman,
I was about to open up for Commissioner Sonny. Do you, you want to go ahead and start? We've addressed all the objections and we've heard the objections. We've heard the case for it. So commissioners, any questions and the things that want to lead off?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Pittman?
I thought we had a policy where the petitioners, people opposed to and in favor of, address the planning commission, not each other.
Yes.
So should you give the opportunity to the opposition to rebuttal the petitioner or the developer's comments, or just accept it?
So we heard the objectors and we heard their concerns. The petitioner was owed a balance of 3 minutes. So we gave him a chance to use up the time to even them out. You want to extend more time to the objectors?
I'll leave that up to you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just saying that I wish we wouldn't give the opportunity to, it's not a college debate. Developer comes and presents his case. We ask if there's people opposed to or in favor of, and we hear from them. But it's like a lawyer standing up and saying, well, y'all ignore what they just said to you all because of so-and-so and so-and-so. It's just not germane, in my opinion.
Okay. Any other commissioners?
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, you heard Commissioner Pittman's concern. Do you wish to proceed or you want to call the objectors back up?
Proceed.
Okay. Any other questions for commissioners?
I had a question, Chair.
Commissioner Spencer?
What is the difference between the option 2 and option 1? Would the option 2 give more space between the actual buildings and the neighbor's property?
Based on the layout of the option, yes, option 2 would provide a little bit more of a distance between the building and the side of the lot.
Sir, are you you're okay with the option 2 plan then?
I am.
Okay.
As a developer, yes, I'm okay with either one.
Right. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Is it possible, this is a difficult communication. Number one is, I'm Tom Huckley, I'm at 3108 Holly Haven, deep inside of this subdivision that's going to be blocked off with more traffic and more people and so forth. And we haven't really addressed the number of people that are going to be in here now traveling through this neighborhood to find a shortcut over to Warren Road and some other places that we already, have to kind of monitor and deal with. Can I hear a summary of the objections? Because I'm not clear on what the objections are just at the moment. And so with this format, we kind of need to hear that so we can make sure everything's been put out. Certainly I heard.
And just, definitely trying to be respectful. Can you tell us who you are and your address, and are you speaking for or against the application?
Okay, so you see, to my point, the communication mode does not lend itself to clarity. So I gave my name and I gave my address. I'm going to give it again. I'm Tom Huckabee and Pat Huckabee at 3108 Holly Haven Drive. The access that we have is limited from that. This is a one-way in subdivision with not many ways out till you almost get to the congestion areas. Okay, so that's the concern. And it's not only just vehicles, it's also people, because this particular neighborhood is also used as a pass-through for walking traffic to get to Warren Road Recreation Center and school area. So that will increase also in terms of being able to manage the activity within the neighborhood. So that was an objection if you didn't recognize that. And I apologize, I don't mean to come across, but this communication mode is a little bit more difficult than normal.
Okay, we appreciate you giving us your objection. In light of that, again, for those of you who are online, not present, please let us know your objections so that when I call for those who are in objection or for the application, that we can give the correct amount of time for each party, which is that 10 minutes that we talked about, before I call commissioners to ask their questions. So is there anyone else online who has an objection that would like to add additional information about this case before we bring staff up for their recommendation? Hearing none.
Oh, hold up. Sorry, I was trying to find the unmute button. I didn't hear any mention of the petition that was signed by all the residents in this neighborhood. I believe there's at least 34 that don't support this.
Sure. Can you give
Seems
us,
like it's just being glossed over.
can you give us your name and your
Sure,
address?
it's Robert Baisden at 215 Skinner Road. You know, I have over 2 acres and my house is a single family unit with kids that ride their bikes on this street. And I'm not super happy about this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And for the record, Ms. Basin, you were mentioning, were you entering the information about the affidavit that was signed by your fellow neighbors as your information?
No, we actually, the last meeting, we submitted a petition with signatures to planning and zoning.
And that petition was presented to the commissioners at that time, so they have knowledge of that.
Yeah, I believe it indicates there's really not much support for this.
Okay, thank you, sir. Is there
Thank you.
anyone else in objection of this application? All right, hearing none. Staff.
Okay, the planning and development staff recommends approval of the zoning request subject to the following conditions. And there's 6 conditions. The proposed, number 1 is the proposed development shall substantially conform to the concept plan and elevations as submitted with the rezoning application. Number 2, proposed buildings shall not exceed 1 story nor contain more than 6 total dwelling units. Number 3, any parking or security lighting shall be directed away from adjoining residential properties. Number 4, install sidewalks along Skinner Road adjacent to the property. Number 5, must comply with all aspects of the Augusta tree ordinance. And number 6, the project shall comply with all development standards and regulations set forth by the city of Augusta, Georgia at the time of development.
Is the petitioner willing to adhere to those recommendations?
Yes, we're willing to accept those. Now, is that with the option or the first draft? Can you identify which one that you're wanting to go with, or is it a choice?
That would be the second one that's on the screen with the building set back to the face of the house just south of it and facing, I suppose you would say, towards Skinner Road.
So you would have both the rendering showing the fronts facing, both of them facing Skinner Road.
Yes.
Yes, we accept that.
I entertain a motion.
To approve with recommendations.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve with the conditions and a second on the floor. I'm going to take a roll call vote, please. Commissioner Trammell,
Yes.
Commissioner McCauley. You will all have to unmute yourself.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Owens,
Yes.
Commissioner Pittman,
No.
Commissioner Malice,
No.
Commissioner Poozer,
Yes.
Commissioner Bartlett,
No.
Commissioner Cooks,
Yes.
Commissioner Spencer.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yes.
Thank you. That is 7 in favor and 3 against, so the motion carries. I have Commissioners Pittman, Malice, and Bartlett voting no.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
And he will come back before the chamber
This will be heard this will be heard next Tuesday, April 20th by the Augusta Commission at 2 o'clock in this room.
Thank you. Next case.
And number 2 is Z2123. It's a petition by James G. Swift and Associates on behalf of Which 2 LLC and Pollock Company, requesting a special exception to construct individual buildings, whether freestanding or attached, which would exceed 15,000 gross square feet of area in the B1 neighborhood business zone per section 21-2A of the comprehensive zoning ordinance, affecting property containing 1.94 acres and known as 1711 Central Avenue, also known as 1709 Central Avenue. It's tax map 45-3, parcel 426.
And this property is 1711 Central Avenue, case involving Z-21-23. The request is for a special exception to allow for construction of a 4,000 square foot office warehouse building where the property contains more than 7,000 square feet of gross floor area. Under the the B1 zoning, any individual or group of buildings that exceed 15,000 square feet for a single property requires approval via the special exception and through this rezoning or special exception process here. And the property is B1 as stated. There's some P1 professional office directly to the south, along with some B1. And then as you expand further from Central Avenue, it's primarily, single family and two family. I see one or two family zone parcel there. So this request replaces a 5,200 square foot structure that was demolished back last year. A demolition permit was issued back in January 24th of 2020. The other two attached structures are oriented towards Central Avenue. That makes the overall gross square footage 17,000 square feet, the existing structures. This new structure will front Holden Court, and you can kind of see here with the site plan and the positioning of the 4,000 square foot office warehouse building. Holden Court is a public road, but it does dead end pretty quickly. And then there's a roundabout at the very end. They intend to utilize existing parking that the site offers for the new use. The size and scale of the building complements the surrounding area. There are some single family homes directly north of Holden along the street. And this plan is consistent with the comprehensive plan, which supports development projects that further stabilize neighborhoods and overall attractiveness. The site is a little less than 2 acres, so spacing isn't an issue. It's a sizable tract. It can accommodate 4 use. The maps here, or the pictures here, show where the 5,200 square foot building once stood. So it almost feels like a 15 hole. So this would add to the overall attractiveness of this this corner. And this concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Is the petitioner present? Please give us your name, your address, and the purpose of your petition.
1206 Interstate Parkway.
Name?
Your name?
Bo Slaughter with James G. Swift and Associates, 1206 Interstate Parkway.
Thank you. And the purpose of your petition?
Is to allow the 4,000 square foot storage building to replace the 5,200 square foot old building that was there before, and to meet the variance for the 15,000 total square feet.
Thank you. Is there anyone in objection of this petition?
Is there anyone here that would like to speak to this petition? No, Mr. Chair.
Commissioners, do you have any questions of the petitioner? Hearing none. Staff?
You may be on mute now.
All right, so planning and development staff, I'm speaking on behalf of Rob, by the way, unless he pops up. Planning and development staff recommends approval of the zoning request subject to the following conditions. Very first one is any outdoor lighting should be directed away from nearby residences. 2, must comply with all aspects of the Augusta tree ordinance. 3, the subject property or property, shall comply with all development standards and regulations set forth by City of Augusta, Georgia at the time of development. And that are the 3 conditions proposed.
Thank you. Rob, was that all? Was there anything else?
That's all. I was muted when I was reading it out. So Kevin covered everything.
Thank you. Is the petitioner willing to adhere to those recommendations?
Yes, sir.
Motion to approve with recommendations.
Second.
I have a motion to approve in a second. Thank you. And the vote. Commissioner Trammell,
Yes.
Commissioner McCauley,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Owens,
Yes.
Commissioner Pittman,
Yes.
Commissioner Malice,
Yes.
Commissioner Poozer,
Yes.
Commissioner Bartlett,
Yes.
Commissioner Cooks,
Yes.
and Commissioner Spencer.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. Next case.
Number 3 is Z2124, a petition by James Trotter on behalf of Perco Builders, Inc., requesting a change of zoning from zone R1A, 1 family residential, to zone R1E, 1 family residential, affecting property containing approximately 4 acres and known as 3055 and 3061 Dennis Road, tax map 7, tax map 7.1, parcel 6, and tax map 6, parcel 39.
Zoning KZ-21-24, this property located at 3055 and 3061 Dennis Road. This request involves rezoning of a 4.02 acre combined tract land for the purpose of developing a townhome subdivision containing 22 townhome lots. So the property is situated in the R1A zone. You got some similar R1A zoning nearby. There's R1C directly to the north, northeast, and then R3B zoning to the south. Stormwater detention will be positioned in the northwest corner of the property. There were no amenity areas submitted for consideration of staff. The plan lacks guest parking, so there'll need to be 6 additional parking spaces provided with this development. So there may be some adjustments that has to be made, but the overall concept is what has to be reflected when the group comes for site plan approval. This overall density of the project is calculated around 5.47 units per acre. So it's 5.47 units per acre, with a nearby Mill townhomes, which is directly to the south there, has a density of slightly less, 4.52 acres. So we're talking about right there about an acre, 1 full unit per acre difference there, which would be sort of subtle in our sense of looking at things. Our accounting engineer said that improvements to Dennis Road would occur following a joint venture between 2 counties for Stevens Creek, since Stevens Creek crosses over to Columbia County. He finds that this subdivision will not adversely affect the overall safety conditions of Dennis Road. And we all know from the experiences you can see here, some of the photographs, the middle one is of Dennis Road, the unimproved nature of it in terms of street width and setbacks and that sort of thing. So it is in need of improvement, but he finds that the overall condition presented by the development will not adversely affect the overall safety concern here. The applicant did not indicate improvements to Alice Lane, which is the bottom photograph here. Right there at the intersection of Alice and Dennis Lane, Dennis Road is about 15, almost a little less than 16 feet in width from pavement end to pavement end. But the fire department adds that with the 3 lots that are proposed near the intersection, lots 17 through 19, that portion of Alice Lane will have to be widened. So they're requiring that section be widened from lot 17 to the intersection. They also are requiring that there be effective turnaround radius within the subdivision of the 2 internal streets for fire apparatus. So those are also changes that will have to be made. The property lacks direct access to sanitary sewer, and the developer may have to coordinate with Columbia County for sewer access. It's going to be a requirement given the small lot sizes, access to sanitary sewer. The property does not contain floodplains, but there is some localized wetlands located in the northwest corner of the property. The developer will have to submit a stormwater management plan as part of the future site plan submittal for city review. The proposal is, the staff finds, is consistent with aspects of the 2018 comprehensive plan, and it complements the surrounding zoning and land uses. So that concludes staff's presentation of this.
Thank you. Is the petitioner present? Please come forward, give us your name, address, and the purpose of this petition.
Yes, Chairman O'Neill. My name is James Trotter. My address is 3527 Walton Way Extension. Appreciate the commission hearing this again today. This piece of property was in front of the Planning Commission last in September of 19. And at that time, it was approved by the Planning Commission for 40 apartments, a density of about 10 units an acre. That approval was later overturned by the Augusta Commission. And my client and I have been working with the engineering department and the planning department to put together a plan that we believe will be suitable for the area. As I said then, we were seeking 40 apartment units. We've come back with a plan that shows 22 fee simple townhomes, a density of just about 5.4 units an acre. As Mr. Boyd pointed out, there are developments on either side of this piece of property that are approved for even higher density. Mayo Townhomes has an R3B or multifamily density, even though its actual density is pretty much substantially similar to ours, about 4.5 to 5 units an acre. The street immediately to the west, excuse me, to the east, O'Shields Court is actually R1C, which is approved for 7 units an acre. We're seeking 5.5 units an acre. We believe that this development fits well into this particular piece of property. I understand that the neighbors are here and have the same concerns I'm sure they had 18 months ago about the condition of Dennis Road. And we understand that. And as Mr. Boyd pointed out, we understand that improvements to Dennis Road have been approved and are in the works by the engineering department. We have exceeded the open space that's required. A particular development like this only requires 25% open space. this layout has 39% open space. I've met with the neighbor who owns the house in the middle of the development. I understand his concerns, and we certainly want to work with him to help minimize the impact on his property as well. But we believe that this density, almost half of what we originally were requested, and as was, half of what was approved by this commission 18 months ago, we believe it's appropriate given the other high density developments in that area.
Thank you. Is there anyone in objection to this application?
For who is here on behalf of this petition? I have 6 concerned citizens present.
Do they have a representative that can speak on their behalf?
Do you have a speaker? Yes, someone's coming up. Just one second. They're towards the back of the room.
Thank you. And Carla, if there are people online that have an objection, is there any way we can kind of get them ready?
Yes, Mariah, do you have anyone who's online who would like to speak?
At this time, I see no one and there are no hands raised.
If you give your name and address, please.
Hello, I'm Jessica Brown. I live at 3049 Dennis Road. That is the property that is bordered on all 3 sides by this proposed development. My husband and I do oppose this rezoning request submitted by Perco Builders. We respectfully request the Planning Commission reject the proposal. In our opinion, the proposed rezoning is inconsistent with the city's comprehensive plan. The vision for West Augusta outlined in the plan seeks to promote limited development of remaining vacant tracts while preserving the single-family residential character predominant in the area. The Dennis Road area of West Augusta is considered to be low-density subdivision characterized by more than 300 single-family homes. We, along with the others who live adjacent to the proposed development, purchased our homes under the knowledge that the property was zoned R1A and under the assumption that single-family homes would be built on this land. We went door to door talking to neighbors. Every person that I spoke with had immediate distaste for higher density development. Our neighborhood petition opposing this rezoning request received 130 signatures and counting. This is available. We can submit it after. It seems the burden falls on the Dennis Road residents to find arguments against rezoning this property, but we would like to see what signatures Mr. Perco has gathered in support of his development. The number one reason we have heard from Mr. Trotter about why they should be allowed rezoning is the nearby Mayo townhomes already existing with higher density zoning, but we've heard that their actual density is less than the proposed density of Mr. Perco's development. To use these as a basis for why his land should be rezoned is to ignore the many other parcels along Dennis Road that were not rezoned and which do contain single-family homes. If you do decide to vote in favor of the rezoning request, we implore you to put conditions on the development. The Mayo townhomes that we have referenced are very private and do not immediately border other homes. We ask that you require Mr. Perco's development to include a great amount of privacy landscaping, increase the setbacks that border other properties from 10 to 20 feet. The Mayo townhomes have the density of the 4.5 units per acre, but the proposed development would be 5.47 as you have heard. We ask that you require Mr. Perco to eliminate units 17, 18, and 19 from the plan, bringing the density to 4.73 units per acre. This is still above Mayo townhomes, but in a similar fashion would allow the community to be self-contained. Lastly, we are aware after speaking with Mr. Trotter that they would desire to not have to put in the fire truck turnaround and move units 17, 18, and 19 closer down Ellis Lane. On behalf of the safety of my family, please do not allow him to have this requirement relaxed. Uphold Mr. Perco to the highest obligations and responsibilities that he is required to fulfill if he wishes to move forward with this development plan. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to
We have
speak?
one other speaker.
Thank you.
Well, I was just gonna add, my name is Wesley Brown. That was my wife, Jessica. Well, I have copies of the petition. We have our neighbor signed at 130 signatures, and I'll leave those with Lois.
The petition email should have been sent to all of your emails this morning.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Mr. Trotter, I owe you.
There's one other speaker, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Please give us your name, your address.
My name is Nathan Vick. I live at 3066 Dennis Road.
Okay, and your.
My property is directly across Dennis Road from the proposed development. Like the other neighbors, we have major concerns with the density. The comprehensive plan, like stated before, we always assumed that there would be single family residents that were going to be developed at this property. When the apartments were proposed, came at a big surprise. When that was denied, and now the townhomes, another surprise. We really just want to protect the integrity of our neighborhood. It's low density, single family residence. My house will be affected pretty drastically by this development due to the entry and exit being directly across the street from my house. I am the lucky recipient of all these residents' lights getting to go into the side of my house at night. If this was developed as single family, I would never have to worry about that. I'd have one or two homes, not a big deal. As a resident of this great community, I could have chose so many other places, but I chose this neighborhood because we knew it was a great place to raise our family. Please protect our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else? Online or in person?
There is one other speaker.
Okay.
My name is Norma Griffiths. I live at 3216 Stone Creek Drive, which is at the dead end of Dennis Road. Another thing that would need to be considered with this new development is that the road is so narrow. Only one car can get by there at a time as it is, and adding however many people will be in these townhouses is just going to make it worse. They say the traffic study for Dennis Road shows it doesn't get used. It doesn't get used because it's a death trap and nobody wants to travel it. This is only going to make the situation worse if you approve this. Also, like my neighbors have said, this was and should be single family homes. That's what the rest of the area is, and it needs to stay that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Lois, is there anyone else in objection?
There is not, Mr. Chair, but the petitioner did ask if he could readdress.
Yes, Mr. Trotter, seeing that we owe you 3 minutes and 20 seconds, I believe. You don't have to use all of it, but feel free to give us any new information that you'd like us to hear.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman O'Neill. I just wanted to clarify one thing that Ms. Brown made reference. We're not seeking to relax any fire department standards or requirements whatsoever. I think there was a misunderstanding there. It was made clear to us by the engineering department and the fire department that if we built additional townhomes further up or further north down Alice Lane, more than 150 feet from the intersection with Dennis Road, then a fire department, then a turnaround for a fire truck would be required. That's why we removed those additional units between 16 and 17 there. We originally had 3 additional units proposed, but because building those 3 units would require a fire truck turnaround and there's no room within which to build one there, we remove those 3 units. So I wanted to clarify, we're not seeking to relax the standards imposed by the fire department whatsoever, or the engineering department.
Is there anything else, sir?
That's it.
Thank you. Okay. Commissioners, do you have questions of petitioner?
Chairman, I have a question.
Commissioner Cooks?
This is for the petitioner. Is the petitioner willing to increase the buffer surrounding the property centered in the middle of the development? Increasing the green screen and fencing?
Commissioner Cooks, we've done everything we could to cut this back from 40 units to 25 units to 22 units. We'll certainly look at reevaluating or realigning the design in there, but I don't believe there's going to be room to increase the buffer to the south of lot 22. We'll certainly look to do that if we can, but we've got the required buffers in there, and we're not looking for a variance to shrink those buffers.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Commissioner Cooks?
So the tree ordinance requires some form of buffer up against that property line. Is there any way for us to increase the density of that buffer within what's already designed?
We can certainly look at that. The site is heavily wooded right now. And as we continue to further development plans, if this is approved, we'll look and see if we can leave what's between 22 and the Browns property untouched if possible. But again, if it has to be cleared for grading purposes, we're certainly happy to plant some screening there. I will point out that I think somebody in the planning department indicated that the fence requirement on 22, because it would be considered a front-facing lot, would only be allowed to have a 4-foot fence. So I'm sure everybody would prefer that we come back and get a variance to allow for a higher fence on the south side of lot 22.
Mr. Cooks? You good?
Wow, this thing took me straight to the PayPal page, paid $25 for this.
Is there any other questions from commissioners? Hearing none. Staff?
Yeah, the planning and development staff recommends approval of the zoning request subject to the following conditions. There are 9 conditions. Number 1, the proposed development shall substantially conform to the concept plan submitted with the rezoning application. Number 2, conduct a traffic study to assess whether acceleration, deceleration lanes are needed. Number 3, provide sidewalks along at least one side of all internal streets and meet all standards of the Augusta Traffic Engineering Department, including handicap access where required. Number 4, adequate off-street parking must be provided for this development. Based on the plan, a minimum of 6 additional paved spaces are required. Number 5, Alice Lane to be improved from the intersection to the end of lot 17. If the total distance of internal streets is longer than 150 feet, there must be an approved turnaround area for fire apparatus. Number 6, shift the lot lines of lots 20 through 22 so that lot 20 meets the minimum front setback requirements. Number 7, a stormwater management plan is required at the time of site plan submittal. Number 8, review of any future site plan be jointly conducted with Columbia County, since there is a high likelihood that water and sewer will have to come from Columbia County, and stormwater outfall flows into Columbia County. And number 9, the project shall comply with all development standards and regulations set forth by the City of Augusta, Georgia at the time of development. And this also would include the tree regulations that Mr. Trotter was referring to.
Thank you. Is the petitioner willing to adhere to all of those recommendations from staff?
I'd like some clarification from Director Sherman on number 6, shifting lots 20 to 22 so that lot 20 meets the minimum front setback. I'm not sure I understand what he's saying there.
Is that the 2 lot lines, 2 right of ways? Shift it down?
See, there's no
Where is
front setback drawn on lots 20, 21, 22, 6, 7, 8, or 9 through 16. They don't show a front setback.
Okay. Somebody's.
Did y'all hear Terry?
Okay,
Ba-
can you
barely
repeat
heard
that,
it.
please?
Can you repeat that louder?
Okay, so on the plan that we have presented, there is a front setback shown off the right of way on lots 1 through 5 and on lots 17 through 19 and the back of 9 through 16, but there's no front setback shown on 6 through 8, 9 through 16, and 20 through 22. And I believe Kevin must have measured and thought that 6 through 8 and 9 through 16 could meet the front setback, but not lot 20 because there's no front setback over there.
Well,
I have a comment to that effect. I believe you're looking at it backward. It looks like one has rear entry parking and one has, they're flipped around. You're looking at the wrong side, I think.
20 is a double frontage lot.
As is 9 through 16.
Commissioner O'Neill, certainly will be happy to work with the planning department staff to make sure we meet all of their required setbacks. I took their comment to mean that we had to relocate lots 20 to 22. It doesn't sound like that's the case, but we do have to meet the required setbacks. And we'll certainly work with the planning staff in order to do so.
Okay. I entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve.
Subject to condition.
Second.
Sorry,
Second.
who made the second? I didn't hear that.
Second.
Thank you. So that is a motion to approve with the conditions and a second. I'll take the vote, please. Commissioner Trammell,
Yes.
Commissioner McCauley,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Owens,
Yes.
Commissioner Pittman,
No.
Commissioner Malice,
Yes.
Commissioner Poozer,
Yes.
Commissioner Bartlett,
Yes.
Commissioner Cooks,
Oops.
Commissioner Cooks,
Nay.
and Commissioner Spencer.
No.
Okay, thank you. That is 7 in favor and 3 against, with Commissioners Pittman, Cooks, and Spencer voting against. So that motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next case. And this is a companion.
Okay, I'll say it again. I was muted. So 4 and 5 are companion items. Number 4 is to establish a base zoning. Number 5 is a special exception. Okay, let's start with number 4, Z2125, a petition by Angels Personal Care Homes, Inc. on behalf of Angel Dunn requesting a change of zoning from zone R1A, one family residential, to zone R3A, multiple family residential, to expand an existing family personal care home into a group personal care home affecting property containing 4.83 acres and known as 2620 Richmond Hill Road, tax map 97.2, parcel 163. And I'll read the second one also. Number 5 is Z2126, a petition by Angels Personal Care Homes, Inc. on behalf of Angel Dunn requesting a special exception to expand an existing family personal care home into a group personal care home per section 16-2D of the comprehensive zoning ordinance of Augusta, Georgia, affecting property containing 4.83 acres and known as 2620 Richmond Hill Road, tax map 97.2, parcel 163.
All right, so the two companion items as outlined, Z-2125 Z-21-25 and Z-21-26 are all in an effort to establish a group personal care home on the property. As the property measures 4.83 acres, located off of Richmond Hill Road. Property is situated in the R1A zoning district. And so the request is for R3A, multiple family residential, is the base zoning for the group personal care home use. And so without approval of the rezoning, no special exception is null and void. So she's aiming for both approvals. This request will bring her up to applicant up to 15 residences or residents. 16 or more is the congregant personal care home. So I made that mistake earlier. So she's committed to 15. The original request was back in 2009 when she received her license in 2010. That was a special exceptional request for a family personal care home, which limits to no more than six clients. With a recent inspection of the property, which we do all of these requests for the personal care homes, you know, your single family or your family personal care home group congregant. We do our inspection with our code enforcement officers, a life safety inspection. It was determined that the applicant had 9 residents where 6 were permitted under that special exception I just referenced. Applicant stated that she went through the state process for that expansion, but failed to come back through for county approval. And so this would also legitimize what was done in that regard with the 15 clients. There is a 2,900 square foot single family detached residence on the property and a 470 square foot detached accessory structure. The proposed addition to the residence would increase the home size to 5,300 square feet. So it's a decent size now. It's going to be quite a bit larger to accommodate the increased clients for the property. This property fronts Richmond Hill, which is considered a minor arterial street. And if this is approved, you know, the request for the special exception, it has to be initiated within 6 months, and the license has to be maintained and active. If there is a break-in within more than a year, the special exception goes away. The zoning will remain with conditions, but the special exception would go away. So the key would be to keep that renewed with the state and the county level. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Is the petitioner present?
Good evening.
Please give us your name and your address and the purpose of your petition, sir.
My name is Long, J.G. Long, and I'm with Sterling Winchester Long. I represent Mrs. Dunn, who is the petitioner, Angel Dunn. And what she's trying to do is provide an additional service to the community and as well as the group home community. She's on 4 acres of property, which gives her a significant amount of space to expand. She's gone through and drew up the grass and the architectural to make sure this expansion is proper. She first started, as he said earlier, in 2009 with 6, and she got the approval from the state without realizing that she needed to get the rezoning. So we've done that. We've tried to make this proper so we could do it right. And so that's what we're trying to do, is to increase her capacity for the ability to serve this area more. This is a senior community, and so she wants you all to take that in consideration as well, because her services provide to those elements of that type of community. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in objection of this petition?
Is there anyone here that would like to speak on this petition? No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have questions of the petitioner?
Chair.
Commissioner Wright.
This seems to be in good standing with the community, with the city, and the state. It provides a service that any of us may have a cause to take. And unless you're fortunate enough to have $2,000 or $3,000 for personal care, I don't think it's a good idea to deny this one, as the staff has indicated they're going to do. So this is something that we need to take a good, careful look at before we start denying it.
Thank you, Commissioner Wright. Are there any other comments, questions from commissioners?
Chairman O'Neill, I have a question for legal.
Commissioner Spencer?
Is for legal, is there a problem if we were limiting the personal care home to a senior personal care home? Or is that not correct?
I'm sorry, could you state that question again? I couldn't hear
I'm
you.
just wondering if for the personal care home that it could be limited to a senior group personal care home?
I guess your question is whether or not you can request that or recommend that?
Yes, that's my question.
Oops. I believe so. I believe you can, that's something that you can request, but now I guess I'm trying to understand. Are you trying to say that's something that you can just?
Any fair housing laws by requesting a senior, that it be recommended for a senior personal care home versus just a personal care home?
I will have to get back to you on that one regarding the fair housing laws to see whether or not, just based on your question, whether or not if you just were to require it to be only for senior housing, would that necessarily be a violation? If you can, just give me a minute. I could probably have an answer for you in a few minutes.
The petitioner would like to comment on that question.
One of the issues may be we're going to have a problem with ADA if we try to limit it to one segment as opposed to the whole situation. We may be in violation of some discrimination law if we just limit it, because in the past, our system now, we have more than just seniors. We have a group of all types. And most of her services are for middle class, middle age, all the way up to seniors. So of course we serve seniors. However, we don't limit that. And if we did, we might be falling into some discrepancy with the federal government as it relates to ADA and discrimination laws.
Thank you.
Okay. Attorney Brown, I saw Director Sherman's hand. Rob, was there something you were adding before we take more questions?
No, I wasn't going to add. I was just going to suggest that the applicant address that, and which he has done.
Okay. Attorney Brown?
I believe that the applicant is correct. This zoning, or whether it's what we're trying to decide here is the proper use of this land, and the age of the resident or guest of that property is not relevant to whether this is a proper zoning. Age, I believe, would be an inappropriate criteria to demand of these parties or to alter one's vote.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Cooks?
is the petitioner willing to limit the use of property to accommodate this development? In other words, you only need, the acreage is much more substantial than the site necessary to do this development. Are they willing to limit the multifamily zoning to a portion of the acreage and not the entire site?
If the petitioner has a foresight to see something more beneficial, we would come back to the commission and apply through the commission. We're willing to do that. And also, also willing to comply with the 3 items that the planning and zoning recommendation on.
Okay,
I don't think I got my question answered, Mr. Chairman.
okay. Commissioner Cooks, can you restate that?
Commissioner Cooks, as per is our norm, the staff report with the possible recommended conditions was sent to the petitioner. I believe the petitioner was commenting that they were agreeable to those conditions in the report.
Are there any other questions from commissioners? Okay. Staff?
Okay, I will read the recommendation for the first case, which is Z2125. Planning and Development staff recommends denial of the zoning request based on the incompatible nature of the zoning request and the potential density of multiple family residential development on this 4.83 acre tract. If the commission votes to approve the rezoning request, however, they should be with the following conditions, and there are 3 conditions. Number 1, the only permissible uses of the property shall be a group personal care home or a single family residence. Number 2, no detached residential space shall be used or added to the property for accommodation of residents. And number 3, a directional sign with the address clearly labeled with reflective lettering will be placed at the entrance to assist emergency personnel should they be called to the facility.
Entertain a motion.
A motion to approve with conditions.
Second.
And again, I'm sorry, the second was muffled. Who made the second?
Second, Commissioner Poozer.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion to approve with conditions and a second on the floor. The vote, Commissioner Trammell,
Yes.
Commissioner McCauley,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Owens. Commissioner Owens? He may have dropped off. Commissioner Pittman?
No?
Commissioner Malice?
No.
Commissioner Poozer?
Yes.
Commissioner Bartlett? Commissioner Bartlett? Has Commissioner Bartlett dropped off?
Still there.
Still on the call.
Okay. Commissioner Bartlett? Commissioner Cooks?
Yes.
And Commissioner Spencer?
No.
I have 3 no's and 2 no votes. Delaney, can you tell me if Commissioner Owens is still on the call?
If his first name is Mike, I believe he's dropped off.
Okay, so he's out, so we would not have to count him, so that is 3 no's and one no vote or not present at the time. And we have a total of 11 people, so that motion carried.
Thank you.
Oh,
Oh, Commissioner Bartlett, there you are.
yeah, I'm sorry. For some stupid reason, I don't know what's going on with my thing here.
Okay.
I would like to vote.
Yes, ma'am.
I vote yes.
In favor or against?
Again, approval in
Okay.
favor of.
Okay, then we have 3 no votes and 7 7 in favor, so the motion carries.
Okay. And for the
Thank
record,
you. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with my computer.
and for the record, I did not ask the petitioner if they were adhere to the recommendation because they already stated that in their report.
Yes, we will adhere to the recommendations by the commission. And we want to thank you all for taking the time to rule in this capacity.
Well, we have one more to vote for you.
Okay.
But appreciate
I
that.
like the thanks, but wait till we're on.
Director Sherman?
Okay, this is Z2126. This is the application for the special exception, which will allow this use. The planning and development staff recommends denial of the zoning request based on the incompatible nature of the special exception request. However, if the commission votes to approve the special exception, it should be with the following conditions, and there are 9 conditions. Number 1, approval of Z2125 to rezone the property to R3A multiple family residential, which you just did. Number 2, the home addition must be completed and a certificate of occupancy issued before the residents may be allowed to move in. The home will be limited to no more than 15 residents. The exact number shall be determined by building and fire department officials. Number 3, the home shall be staffed and maintained in compliance with all State Department of Community Health regulations for a personal care home. For a group personal care home. Number 4, no detached residential space shall be used or added to the property for accommodation of residents. Number 5, a directional sign with the address clearly labeled with reflective lettering will be placed at the entrance to assist emergency personnel should they be called to the facility. Number 6, at least one ADA compliant paved parking space must be provided for the use of residents. Number 7, the applicant must receive an updated City of Augusta business license for the expanded number of residents and continue to maintain a license with the state of Georgia. Proof of compliance with the minimum requirements of Chapter 290-2-5-18 of the OCGA must be provided, and the applicant must provide annual inspection reports. All requirements must be met within 6 months of approval of the special exception or the special exception is void. Number 8, an approved building permit for the addition and or updated business license for the increased numbers must be obtained within 6 months of the special exception or within 6 months or the special exception is void. The home must maintain all licenses without a 12-month lapse or the special exception is void. The last, number 9, if wheelchair-bound persons reside in the residence, all 2010 ADA standards for accessible design requirements must be met, including but not limited to all doorways must be at least 3 feet wide and at least one bathroom that permits a wheelchair-dependent person to use all bathroom facilities unimpeded. That's it.
Motion to approve with conditions.
Is the petitioner willing to adhere to those recommendations?
Yes, we are.
Thank you. I believe we have a motion and a second on the floor.
Yes, we do. Commissioner Trammell,
Yes.
Commissioner McCauley. Commissioner McCauley,
Yes, yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Owens is gone. Commissioner Pittman,
No.
Commissioner Malice,
No.
Commissioner Poozer,
Yes.
Commissioner Bartlett.
Yes.
We heard you that time. Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Spencer.
Since it passed, yes. Can I have that?
Thank you. So that motion carries with 2 no votes. That's Commissioner Pittman and Commissioner Malice.
Thank you. Next case.
Thank you. And this, sure.
Next is number 6,
Bob, just 1 second. Ms. Dunn would like to, a moment.
Hi, I'm Angel Dunn, and I just wanted to take this time to thank you guys for listening and understanding.
Thank you.
She still got to return for a portion of it, don't she?
Commissioner Cooks, I didn't hear you.
Doesn't she have to return for a portion of it? The
Yes,
variance.
for both of them, we told her that.
Okay.
Okay, number 6, Z2127, the petition by Osmond Properties requesting a change of zoning from zone B2 general business to zone PUD plan unit development, affecting property containing 0.83 acres and known as 1285 Broad Street, tax map 36-4, parcel 141.
This zoning action Z-21-27 is a request by the applicant to rezone the property from a B2 general business to a PUD planned unit development to construct a 70,000 square foot mixed use development with 58 one-bedroom apartment units and 2,500 square feet of commercial retail and restaurant space. The site measures 0.83 acres and contained 2 attached buildings constructed back in 1958. The property has frontage on both Broad and Jones Streets. There are 2 bus stops located within 300 feet of the property. And with its current designation of B2, there's surrounding B2 zoning all around the property. All right, so the commercial would be limited to a small portion of the first level that has street front access onto Broad Street. Apartments will occupy the remaining portions of the first and then the entire second, third, and fourth floors. The developers want to hire the building to match the Marbury Center and similar structures. You see this comparison of the height on the right-hand side there on that Morblink side compared to the old firehouse. They were very conscious about that. And exterior features will include brick and fiber cement trim. Design features will require approval from the Historic Preservation Commission or HPC. So I believe they received preliminary approval. They'll have to receive final approval prior to the site plan approval being approved. This development proposes a overall density of 70 units per acre. The current zone limits the max density allowed to 29 units per acre. So we're going from 29 max to 70 cater to this specific request. The other feature of this PUD is a reduction in overall setbacks. It would have received some privileges given the established building line being significantly reduced along this block face. But they're requesting 5 feet actual 5-foot setback, front setback off of Broad, 0 front foot setback off of Jones Street, and off the side, east and west sides, the applicant requested for 0. We just added that it be either 0 or greater than 3 feet to ensure proper maintenance between structures. If it's within that 0 to 3 foot range, you tend to start having issues with maintaining such a narrow strip. There are 2 parks within 1,300 feet of the property. Freestanding signs would be prohibited, and wall-mounted, building-mounted signs must conform to the B2 standards, which is much of downtown, so to keep that overall consistency. And that is basically limited to a max of no more than twice the linear distance of the wall face in which the street fronts. So here's an interior rendering layout, give you a sense of these. These are all 1-bedroom apartment units. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Is the petitioner present?
Yes.
Please give us your name, your address, and the purpose of your petition.
My name is Bill Corder with Blue Water Engineering. I'm the project engineer. My address is 4210 Columbia Road, Martinez. And the purpose of the petition is to allow for the construction of a very nice development downtown. I think it will bring a lot to the city. As you saw from the building renderings, it will be a very nice building and would really add a lot to that area. I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in objection of this petition?
Is there anyone here to speak on this petition? No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner, do you have questions of the petitioner? Hearing none, staff?
Okay, the plan and development staff recommends approval of the zoning request subject to the following conditions. There are 14. Number 1, permitted uses of the site be limited to no more than 58 apartment units, retail and restaurant development. Number 2, the total height of the structure shall not exceed 4 stories or 55 feet to include any attached or detached structures. Number 3, the overall density shall not exceed 70 units per acre. Number 4, the total commercial space shall not exceed 25% of the gross floor area of the building. Number 5, on-site dumpster and enclosure shall meet all regulations set forth by the city. Number 6, excuse me, there shall be no required front setback on Jones Street, a minimum 5-foot setback on Broad Street, and 0 feet or greater than 3 on the side property lines. Number 7, there shall be no minimum lot coverage. Number 8, a fence or screen wall in the required front yard shall not exceed 6 feet in height. Number 9, any outdoor storage and mechanical systems, including HVAC units, shall be limited to enclosed buildings or screenings with a 6-foot tall wood privacy fence or masonry wall, or an acceptable size or material approved by the HPC Historic Preservation Commission. Number 10, no freestanding signs will be permitted on the property. Any building or wall-mounted signs require approval of certificate of appropriateness since the site is located within the historic district. These signs are limited to a maximum surface area of 2 square feet per linear foot. Projecting signs may not extend more than 5 feet from the face of the wall except for canopy or awnings mounted or awning mounted signs. Window signs may not occupy more than 20% of the area of any window. Number 11, lighting in the parking lot be directly away from nearby residences. Number 12, exterior elevations and materials must receive final approval from the Historic Preservation Commission. Number 13, minor changes to an approved PUD site plan may be handled administratively by the planning director or his or her designee. Number 14, any changes deemed major will trigger the need to amend the original PUD site plan and require the Augusta Commission approval and subsequent HPC approvals. That's all.
Is the petitioner willing to adhere to those recommendations?
I would just like to comment on one of the recommendations, which is number 5, which requires on-site dumpster enclosures to meet city regulations. On the site plan that we've submitted, we don't have an area identified for an on-site dumpster. I believe it was discussed in the pre-meeting that the property owner owns property across the street. That's additional parking, and they have a dumpster on the property. What they would like to do to keep as much parking on this site as possible is to have the dumpster across the street, and then they will have a service that would regularly transfer the garbage from the facility to the dumpster across the street. So that's the only issue that we had as far as the recommendations. If it could be stated that the dumpster has to be provided but not necessarily on site, we would like that consideration if possible. The other conditions we're comfortable with as written.
Director Sherman.
I believe that number 5 needs to continue to be included, and there's going to have to be somewhere on site, central location where the tenants would take their garbage. I don't think it's something that, that's gonna block the project, but, or the guidelines require for on-site, dumpster. Whether that's there or we can think of another way to meet that intent. But I would like to leave that in there, and then we can be flexible with how you meet the intent.
So that's something that could be coordinated with the staff during the plan review process and wouldn't have to come back before the Planning Commission or the Augusta Commission.
I believe that it is. If it's not on site, then we can agree to, yes. Let me just go to a short answer, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
I second the motion.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion to approve with conditions and a second on the floor, I believe. And the vote. Commissioner Trammell,
Yes.
Commissioner McCauley,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Pittman,
Yes.
Commissioner Malice,
Yes.
Commissioner Poozer,
Yes.
Commissioner Bartlett,
Yes.
Commissioner Cooks. Bless you.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooks.
Thank you.
Yes, did you hear me?
Yes, and Commissioner Spencer.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carried. Next Tuesday, April 20th in this room. Thank you. For
Next,
the Augusta Commission approval.
Okay, number 7, Z2128, a petition by Diane Johnston on behalf of Herbert L. Hudon, Jr., requesting a change of zoning from Zone A, agricultural, to Zone HI, heavy industry, affecting approximately 77 acres, known as part of 1501 Aviation Way, tax map 159, parcel 2.
The applicant seeks to rezone approximately 77 acres located in the northwest corner of the Augusta Regional Airport property in order to improve upon and expand airport operations and business development at the airport. The airport's located at 1501 Aviation Way. The concept plans presented with the zoning application indicated the subject property will be 4 hangar buildings with ramps and a taxiway out to the main taxiway, associated parking for the hangars, and a driveway from Aviation Way via Cargo Road to the proposed parking areas. Building height in this area and for HI zoning would be allowed to be 300 feet. The proposal is for 44.5 feet, but either way, FAA would have to approve the building height because of the airport operations. There is a special flood hazard area in the northern part of the property, but we do not believe it will affect this property at all or the elevations of the building. But the requirement is that the buildings be elevated to 3 feet above the base flood elevation. There is a wetlands on the subject property, and we do believe that the wetlands will be affected by the expansion. A Corps of Engineers permit will be required prior to disturbance of the wetlands on the property. And this requirement also applies to any wetlands discovered on the property while they're doing the construction. Airport uses and industrial zoning are scattered throughout the area, with the predominant zoning being LI light industrial. And a vast majority of undeveloped area is nearby, as is Fennessy Swamp to the east of the airport. The vast majority of the vacant land in the area is zoned A, agricultural. The 2008 comprehensive plan and mirrored in the 2018 comprehensive plan calls for expansion of industrial uses in the East Augusta planning area, and this would include uses on the industrially zoned airport property. And that's the conclusion of the staff presentation.
thank you. Is petitioner present? Please give us your name, your address, and the purpose of this petition.
Diane Johnston. I'm with the Augusta Regional Airport, address 1501 Aviation Way.
Okay, and the purpose of your petition?
Is to have the property on the north side of the airport rezoned from agricultural to industrial, heavy industrial, as is in keeping with the rest of the airport property, and will allow us to move forward with development, proposed development.
Thank you. Is there anyone in objection of this petition?
No.
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any questions of the petitioner? Hearing none, staff.
Planning and Development staff recommends approval of the zoning request subject to the following conditions, and there's 6 conditions. Number 1, the concept plan supplied with the zoning application is for illustrative purposes only and does not indicate approval of a site plan in the future. Number 2, the project proposed for the north development area as outlined on the concept plan shall comply with all development standards and regulations set forth by the city of Augusta, Georgia at the time of development. Number 3, building height is limited to 44.5 feet in height, not to exceed 300 feet, or is approved by FAA, whichever height is higher. Number 4, adherence to Augusta's flood damage prevention ordinance, including the requirement that all new construction be elevated 3 feet above the base flood elevation, BFE, is required. Number 5, Corps of Engineers permitting is required for any wetlands disturbance and must be submitted prior to issuance of a land disturbance permit. And number 6, the street yard is required on the road frontage of Doug Bernard Parkway for any construction done on the subject property. However, said street yard must conform to FAA requirements in the FAA approved wildlife hazard management plan, which may include small or medium trees being planted in lieu of the required large trees or no trees at all. All other components of the tree ordinance compliance may be waived at the discretion of the plan development director for airport safety, including compliance with FAA requirements and or the airport's wildlife management plan. And that's it.
Is the petitioner willing to adhere to those recommendations?
Yes, sir.
Motion to approve with conditions.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve with conditions and a second on the floor. Commissioner Trammell,
Yes.
Commissioner McCauley,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Pittman,
Yes.
Commissioner Malice,
Yes.
Commissioner Boozer,
Yes.
Commissioner Bartlett,
Yes.
Commissioner Spencer,
Yes.
and Commissioner Cooks.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Next case.
Okay, the next is number 8, Z2129, a petition by Gerald Darshan, LLC, requesting a change of zoning from Zone A agricultural to Zone B2 general business, affecting property containing approximately 1 acre, known as 2657 Tobacco Road, tax map 140.2, parcel 2.
Z-21-29 involves a rezoning request from agricultural to B2 general business to develop a 4,300 square foot convenience store, 1,230 square feet of which will be dedicated to storage. The tract is 0.98 acres and remains vacant, undeveloped land. Nearby zoning includes R1, R1B, that's one family residential, P1 professional office, and B1 neighborhood business. There are some apartments and a church located in the B2 zones further up. You can kind of see those along the edges there of the image of the map here. Okay, the proposed gas canopy is positioned in front of the property, will contain 4 fuel pumps. The proposed location of the store will satisfy, and the canopy will satisfy the minimum zoning setbacks. There will be 2 driveway access points to the property, a shared parcel, a shared driveway with the adjacent parcel, which are found that is currently owned by the applicant as well. So no need for that, one of the aspects of that in the report. The other is limited to exit only. Stormwater detention pond is positioned at the rear of the property. The site has access to public water, but lacks sanitary sewer. As many as 1,100 trips can be generated from the proposed development for a convenience store. We did the lookup and utilized the trip generation provided by the Association of Convenience and Fuel Retailing to get that information. Only 14 spaces are provided with the concept where a minimum of 25 spaces are needed to support the use. The spots, there were 8 spaces within the canopy area. It cannot be counted as part of the parking because they're temporary spots for fueling vehicles. We can't attribute that to the parking standard. And there's 4 parking spaces, parallel parking spaces between the 2 spaces. Staff finds that the proposal is incompatible with surrounding uses and zoning. The comprehensive plan suggests that new commercial areas be defined and designated no intersections. This intersection is Tobacco Road and Ferriton Drive, which currently has the highest zoning in this area is neighborhood business. On the other side of, I guess, the southwest corner of the intersection, there's P1 zoning. There's no B2 zoning in this particular area. And a convenience store is more of a heavy commercial use, and that would be inconsistent with what our comprehensive plan calls for. This concludes staff's.
Thank you. Is the petitioner present? Please give us your name, your address, and the purpose of this petition.
Good afternoon, Philip Green with Southern Partners, 1233 Augusta West Parkway. The reason I'm before you today, as staff has presented, is a rezoning of this property to B2. We believe that with the professional and business across the street and looking at the zoning map of the corridor of Tobacco Road, there's a significant amount of B2 zoning along this corridor, and we believe that this would be consistent with the overall characteristics of the corridor. A couple of things that Mr. Boyd pointed out as far as trip generation. Being a convenience store, approximately 50% of those trips are considered bypass trips, which means that traffic is already on the street. So out of those 1,100 cars, about half of those are already going to be on the street. We believe the location here at a signalized intersection also provides a safety factor for those trips coming and going. The exit only exit only onto Tobacco Road is set up for the fueling truck to leave the site. It's not intended for any entrance or any left turn movement. It would be a right turn only. As far as the parking goes, traditionally the gas station pump spots have been counted towards the required parking in Augusta. However, as Mr. Boyd pointed out, the owner does own the surrounding piece. We can shift the property lines back a little bit and redesign the site to account for additional parking and meet that minimum requirement. Based on those aspects of this, I would ask for the recommendation of approval for the rezoning B2. Be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Is there anyone in objection to this application?
We have one person present, and there may be some on the call. We may need to check that.
Yes. We have one on the call.
All of you received a petition from a citizen that was emailed to you earlier today.
Okay. So for those who are on the call, if you have objections, please raise your hand or use that facility so that our person monitoring that can see you. And please give us your name, your address, and the nature of your objection.
Hi, my name is Kimberlyn Waltower. I reside at 3801 High Point Drive, which is not too far from this property. We don't need another convenience store on Tobacco Road. From Highway 25 to the Deans Bridge Road exit, we have 5 gas stations already. We have 2 liquor stores. We also have liquor stores on Winter Spring. A new one just opened up down on Barton Chapel Road. And I know you said a convenience store, not a liquor store, but we have enough convenience stores. We have enough Dollar Generals, Dollar Tree, Family Dollars, and all that out there. The traffic at that intersection is already horrendous. The neighborhood, I live right at Farrington and High Point. The traffic is so bad, we're continuously replacing the sign because of the wrecks that's there. The trash along the sidewalks, and well, there's no sidewalks, but the trash along the streets is already too bad. We don't need another convenience store. The ones that we have are becoming hangouts. Hangouts create crime. It's not good for the business. We just, there have other participants that's on Zoom and that's listening in. We just do not think that it's beneficial for the growth of South Augusta, for the working class who's there trying to maintain their homes, trying to maintain a safe community. We just wish that you would reject this proposal and this applicant.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who is an objection to it? Is there anyone online?
Yes. I have 3 hands raised online.
Yes.
Yes.
Carla, in just a moment, Carla, can you decide who's going to speak first?
Oh, we can start with Darlene McCrary.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Darlene McCrary, and I live at 4019 Pinnacle Way, Hepzibah, Georgia. I am the president of the Pinnacle Place Community Association off of Tobacco Road. And the association, along with the Richmond County Neighborhood Association Alliance, which represents approximately 30 neighborhoods in Richmond County and thousands of residents, are opposed to rezoning the 2657 Tobacco Road from Zone A to B2 for construction of a gas station. This petition is against rezoning of this said property due to traffic-related issues that were mentioned earlier, architectural design, parking, sewer, possible degradation of our property value of our surrounding neighborhoods, and increased throughput, making the area more susceptible to crime. We also have a petition with 91 signatures that was sent to the department, and we're obtaining even more signatures obtaining more signatures opposing this request. And we would appreciate it if you would consider the neighborhood associations as well as the resident desire not to have a gas station at that location. Thank you.
Gas station.
Thank you.
We don't need no gas stations.
All right, so just a moment.
Everybody's muted now.
James, you have to unmute Commissioner O'Neill.
Your mute is on.
All right. So are we about to call up D. Lowry?
Yes, I'm Eugene Lowry. I'm the president of Rich County Neighborhood Association Alliance. And we visited this rezoning, I think this is about the second or third time. And the last time that we visited this, I think it was last year, the same things that we objected to at that time have not been changed. So it's still not what we need in this neighborhood. And because of the traffic and because of the convenience store that we already have, I think we have 1, 2, 3, I can count 3 that's in walking distance. So we are, like Ms. McCray said, we're about 30 neighborhoods strong or more. And I don't have anybody in my organization that is for this. So we are asking you all to please consider what we are asking for and reject this, please. Thank you.
Mr. Lowry, for the record, what is your address?
One second. Okay. He's still muted. Hold on. Mr. Lowry, you have to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Well, 3946 Ellen Street.
Thank you. All right.
We have,
Go
we
ahead.
have 2 more on the call. On waiting to speak, we can go with Kimberly.
Yes, I'm actually at work, so I can't video in, but I oppose this proposal for the convenience store / gas station. Just as the first person has spoke about the disapproval of this planned gas station, I agree with those same sentiments. My address is 4311 White Pine Court, Augusta, Georgia 30906.
Miss Kimberly, what's your full name?
Kimberly Wright.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak and give new information about this in opposition of this petition?
We have Terry Simpkins with her hand raised.
Yes, my name is Terry Simpkins, and I am at 4116 Pinnacle Pines Court. I totally concur with the previous statements. I do feel like we have enough convenience stores / gas stations in the neighborhood. It creates more congestion. And again, I just totally concur with all the other residents. Nothing new to add.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else, Carl?
I see no other hands raised on the Zoom call.
Thank you. In regards to petitioner, do you have any new information that you can add? We actually, to balance out our time, we owe you a couple moments of time. If you don't have anything else to add, then we can move on.
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, again, just going back to the traffic issue, this being a signalized intersection would mitigate any traffic impacts to the maximum extent possible. In addition to that, I mean, my client has built 3 or 4 of these stores in the Augusta area. They all look nice down on Peach Orchard Road, Deansbridge Road, Wrightsboro Road, Sprint stores. They're all very nice looking stores, and he maintains them, maintains ownership of them, and maintains their upkeep. So I don't believe that will be a problem to the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions of the petitioner? None. Staff.
Okay, the plan and development staff recommends denial of the zoning request. However, if the petition should be approved, staff recommends the following conditions. There are 4 conditions. Number 1, parking lot and security lighting must be directed away from the residential properties located to the west of the subject property. Number 2, ensure that the property complies with all aspects of the Augusta Tree Ordinance and applicable landscaping standards. Number 3, site plan development plan must comply with any other ordinances and regulations in effect at the time of construction. And number 4, any new curb cuts for the site on Tobacco Road are subject to review and approvals from the Augusta Engineering and Georgia Department of Transportation.
Entertain a motion. Phillips, can you repeat that?
Say again?
Can you repeat your motion?
Yeah, motion to deny with recommendations.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion to deny from Commissioner Wright and a second from Mr. Poozer. Came in first, I believe, so the vote is to deny. Commissioner Trammell,
Vote to deny.
Commissioner McCauley,
Vote to deny.
Commissioner Wright,
Deny.
Commissioner Pittman,
Pittman.
Commissioner Pittman,
Hello.
Commissioner Malice,
Vote to deny.
Commissioner Poozer,
Vote to deny.
Commissioner Bartlett,
Deny.
Commissioner Cooks,
I second that, deny.
Commissioner Spencer.
Deny.
Okay, motion to deny carries. Thank you.
Deny.
Put
All right.
you on.
These
What
decisions.
happened to Pittman?
Oh, yes.
Commissioner
I
Pittman?
vote to deny, and whoever keeps, never mind, deny.
Thank you, Commissioner Pittman. We gotcha.
Okay. Next case?
Okay, the next case, excuse me, is number 9, Z2130, a petition by RT Bailey Construction requesting a change of zoning from zone R1, one family residential, to zone R1C, one family residential, to zone R1C, affecting property containing 148 acres and known as 2370 Willis Foreman Road, tax map 194, parcel 32.1.
All right, so Z-21-30, this property located at 2370 Willis Foreman Road. The request is to rezone the property from R1 and R1C, one family residential, to R1C, one family residential, to develop a 299 lot residential subdivision. This sort of translates into 2.01 lots per acre, where a max of 7.2 is allowed. As you see, the property is largely R1. There is a portion of it, 29 acres, there is designated under the R1C zone. The request that's being made for the entire tract. The tract is 148 acres, a little bit more than that. And it is situated off of Willis Foreman Road, east of the railroad tracks. And so if you look at the map, you see similar zoning, R1Cs, some R1s, there's a little bit of agricultural zoning out there. Property is bounded by the city of Hephzibah on 3 sides. So you see Hephzibah written out on the map and the gray hatch pattern that symbolizes that jurisdiction. All right. So the subdivision will mainly consist of 62-foot wide lots. That's going to be the minimum lot width based on the applicant's information. And the lots will be over 6,000 square feet. This development will contain 3 entrances. One primary entrance, you can see that on the right-hand side here along Willis Foreman. It's turned on its side a little bit to sort of give you a good sense of the layout. But Willis Foreman would be to the north rather than to the east. The property also connects to an existing subdivision, which currently have dead end roads. So you get the 2 dead end roads with the main road, 3 entrances. 5 internal streets will sort of meander through the property. No dead end roads there except for in the top corner there, which we advocate for less cul-de-sacs and more connectivity. The dead end road cannot exceed more than 700 square feet. So that's something we'll review through the site plan review process. No amenities have been included, but when we met with the applicant, when they were presenting the project, there was expressed desire to provide trails and walkability for the future residents. There is a 100-foot undisturbed buffer that will run along the, I guess, the east side or west side of the property adjacent to the active rail line. And there's a 200-foot wide power easement that cuts through, you can sort of see that here, the lower half of the property. That provides power, I believe, to Georgia Power. Willis Foreman is identified as a collector street. And I believe in the future there is plans to widen that road. This development will occur in phases. The property is not located in the FEMA flood plain or containing any wetlands. There's a lot of terrain stuff going on within the center of the property. And so that's why you see there's no development proposed. The elevation varies quite a bit in that particular area. And there is access to public water and sewer. Water runs along Willis Foreman, and sewer, I believe, stops at the railroad track. So they'll extend that to the property. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Is the petitioner present?
Good afternoon.
Please give us your name again, your address, and the nature of this application.
Certainly. Philip Green with Southern Partners, address 1233 Augusta West Parkway. As Mr. Boyd pointed out, this property has two zonings currently on it, the R1C and the R1. And looking at the, as he also mentioned, looking at the topography of this property, there's some considerable challenging areas. Plus the power line easement and the railroad that bounds the east side. Given those constraints on this property, we elected to go 62-foot wide lots. In doing so, we felt it was cleanest just to get a blanket zoning for the R1C across the whole property. This allows the developer to get a reasonable density and still maintain the areas on the site which are not developable. Gives him a tremendous amount of green area. As Mr. Boyd pointed out, we've also got some pocket parks throughout the subdivision. We are also bounded by the city of Hephzibah and are making the 3 roadway connections that were mentioned. The cul-de-sac length in the back corner was limited. Everything else streetwise interconnects with each other and provides a pretty good layout in my opinion. But again, we were requesting the R1C zoning for the entire property. I'm glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in opposition of this petition?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have questions of the petitioner?
I do, Commissioner.
Malice?
Yes, I think it's a good development. Are there going to be any walking trails, any amenities in the future, or is that something y'all might do?
I believe when we first met with Mr. Boyd, we were looking at some different size lots, some large lots, even some 40-foot wide lots, and more of a mixture of a PUD almost, in which case we were talking about doing some walking trails. With this straight zoning and the intent for the amenities would be these pocket parks throughout there. Again, given the topography, there's not real opportunity to provide a good walking trail system.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Staff?
Development staff. Oh, thanks. Planning and development staff recommends approval of the zoning
I'm
request.
sorry, Rob, 1 second. We have one hand that just been raised, Deborah Dartley.
I thought she was giving me a thumbs up.
Or maybe she meant to do a thumbs up, but it's a hand raised, so just wanted you all to be aware of that. Sorry.
Thanks. Go ahead, Staff. Go ahead, Rob.
Okay. Planning and development staff recommends approval of the zoning request subject to the following conditions. There are 8 conditions. Number one, the development shall substantially conform to the concept plan submitted with the rezoning application. Number two, conduct a traffic study to assess whether acceleration, deceleration lanes are needed. Number three, sidewalks must be provided on at least one side of the street within the development and comply with ADA standards. Number four, provide walking trails and pathways to connect areas of the development. Number five, extend sidewalk on the side adjacent to the property along Willis Holman Road. Number six, must comply with all aspects of the Augusta tree ordinance. Number seven, streetlights will need to be installed and operating or bonded prior to final plat approval. And number eight, this project shall comply with all development standards and regulations set forth by the city of Augusta, Georgia. That's all.
Is the petitioner willing to adhere to those recommendations?
The only question I think I would have would be going back to the walking trails. Again, that was something that we mentioned early on when it was going to be more of a PUD concept. I would ask that the commission consider not including that condition, but the rest of the conditions were comfortable. Thank you.
Director Sherman?
If the staff would like to keep that in there, and if maybe we can meet and try to establish what that would be prior to this moving forward to the commission, to the planning, to the Augusta Commission.
I'll make a motion to defer to next month so staff can meet with the developer and also address the concerns about green space.
Second.
Okay, motion has been given and seconded to move him to next month to give them time to speak.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Pittman?
I would refer my fellow planning commissioners to page 112, where the developer, Mr. Bailey, mentions that quite clearly.
I believe Mr. Bailey is, are you Mr. Bailey? I believe Mr. Bailey is here and would like to speak.
Well, we have this motion in front of us. Do you want to go ahead and collect that vote, or you think
We
that?
either have to vote on or defer the motion. If Commissioner Cooks would like to hear from the owner, developer.
I'll defer to after his comments.
Okay.
Hello, Todd Bailey, 2569 Trade Center Drive, Evans, Georgia. The original discussion was of tying into some other land that we have. It was when the conversation was also when I met with Mr. Boyd and another one of his staff people about going through the Hepzibah track and actually getting it going. And then there's another, I'm pointing where you can't tell, but on the other side of that Hepzibah track is another piece of property that I'm purchasing as part of the Augusta, to be in Augusta, Richmond County. So we had a discussion of possibly trying to pull in the Hepzibah track into Augusta, Richmond County, and then create trails that went all the way around that other, I think it's about a 45-acre tract that we really didn't have a whole lot of intentions of developing at the time. The issue is right now it's not adjacent to what we're developing here. It's about 50% green spaces we got right now. We can put some trails in there. But the original discussion was if we were able to take everything through the Hepzibah track into the Richmond County track. I don't know if I clarified that at all.
Well, actually, I'm a little bit lost on it myself, but I want to hear Director Sherman is is he addressing what your concern is of having that, the walkway trails remain?
Well, there'll be land that's undeveloped. And I think that's because of the topography. But with that many units, we're just thinking that there needs to be some activities for the kids, children, and the adults just to get outside. I mean, it's a big project, and just thinking that just passive walking trails that the residents would enjoy.
Well, one, we're gonna have sidewalks throughout the community, and we've also got 1, 2, 3, thought there was another one, 3 or 4 corner parcels that we've left out to make for green space so that you could walk to. You know, unfortunately, in our litigious society we have now, you can't put a whole lot of equipment in there. Be a problem for the HOA in the future. But for green space now, we've got, that'll be a maintained green space. And granted, you're not looking at topography, but that big open space in the middle, there is quite a bit of fall. Now, for me to go in there and mulch that up and create a trail path, I can do that. I don't have a problem with that. It's just, there's a lot of topo there. So I don't know how easy it would be to walk around through that. Going downhill would be easy, but coming back up is going to be tough.
So, Mr. Bailey, are you saying you can put in the walking trails and pathways?
Define what conditions are you looking at for walking trails? A 10-foot wide trail that you can walk through?
Director Sherman.
I think it would just be passive trails. If you go in there and just, bush hog, are you going to have an HOA?
Yes, sir.
And they would maintain it if they want to continue to use them. Just rough trails that you find out in the woods, marked, but something that you would create so that they can identify that they are trails and can use them. And it would be, of course, up to the HOA to maintain them and keep them so that they could be used.
Yeah, I'd have no problem with that. I've got a bush hog that goes on the front of my skid steer, and we could drive through there and create a bunch of different paths. You can't necessarily see it. There is some logging trails already going through there. Mm-hmm. So there's a little bit of a trail system already, but there's a little bit of washout from it too. So it's, for what we're discussing right now, I have no issues with.
Commissioner Cooks, I believe they are in agreement. Do you still want to defer to next meeting, or you want to rescind that?
Well, my concern is, I mean, we got the density of this development. I like first of all, I like the project, number one. Number two, my concern is that the density of the tracts of homes is so tight that I'm afraid the homeowners are not going to be satisfied with the tightness of the neighborhood, and I don't want to see failure. That's all. But if my fellow commissioners are willing to move forward, I'm with it, and I'll rescind my motion at this time.
Thank you.
So, Director Sherman, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page here. I believe that he's in agreement with your line item 4, and Commissioner Cooks has just rescinded his motion to move him to next month. Are we ready to take a motion on?
We are.
We already have the motion on this, don't we?
No, Mr. Chairman, the only motion we have was the one to continue to make.
All right, so Rob and Commissioner Cooks has just withdrawn that one. So then we can go ahead and take a motion on the current recommendation.
Yes.
I move to approve with recommendation.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve with conditions and a second on the floor. Commissioner Trammell.
Come back to me. I'm not sure.
Okay. Commissioner McCarthy.
Say again.
Commissioner Wright. Commissioner Wright.
No.
Okay, Commissioner Pittman.
No.
Commissioner Malice,
Yes.
Commissioner Poozer,
Yes.
Commissioner Bartlett,
Yes.
Commissioner Cooks,
Yes.
Commissioner Spencer,
Yes.
and back to Commissioner Tramble.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries with Commissioner Wright and Commissioner Pittman voting no.
You didn't get my vote, though, Lois.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner McCauley, I thought I got yours.
That's okay. I'm going yes.
You're voting yes, okay. So the motion carries. It will be heard next Tuesday at the Augusta Commission meeting right here, 2 o'clock.
Next case.
Commissioners, if I can remind you very quickly that at the close of this meeting, we need to open the public hearing for comments on the renaming of the park.
Yes.
Thank you.
Number 10 is Z2131, a petition by Air Gas USA LLC requesting a change of zoning from zone LI light industry to zone HI heavy industry affecting property containing 6.55 acres and 17 Columbia Nitrogen Drive, tax map 62, parcel 6.
Okay, the applicant seeks to rezone approximately 6.55 acres located in the East Augusta planning area for a truck storage facility with an above-ground fueling area and an above-ground fuel storage tank on the southern half of the property. Above-ground fueling requires HI heavy industrial zoning, so that's why the request to go to HI zoning. The property is bounded on all 4 sides by roadways, by Sandbar Ferry Road, by Columbia Nitrogen, by Laney Walker Boulevard Extension, and by I-520. The concept plan submitted with the rezoning application shows the access to the site being from Columbia Nitrogen Road. Building height is allowed to be 300 feet based on the HI zoning. However, there are no buildings proposed for the subject property at this time, just the truck storage areas. There's no special flood hazard area on the property. However, the property is in an area protected by the levee, so there is moderate risk to the property of flooding. There's a small area of wetlands on the subject property, and a core permit will be required prior to any disturbance of wetlands on the property. This requirement also applies to any wetlands discovered as part of the construction on the property. The above-ground fuel storage tank is a 10,000-gallon double-walled tank. A containment area will be installed to capture any spills from the tank during the fueling process, and periodic inspections will be required of the fueling facility. Industrial zoning, both light industrial and heavy industrial, are scattered throughout the area, with the predominant zoning being HI heavy industrial. The area north of Sandbar Ferry Road and then the Augusta levee is a mix of residential uses, but is considered non-contributory to the exclusively industrial and industrial related areas south of Sandbar Ferry Road and east of 520. The 2008 comprehensive plan calls for expansion of industrial uses in the East Augusta planning area, and the 2018 comprehensive plan mirrors that recommendation. This is the end of the staff's report.
Thank you. Is the petitioner present? Please give us your name, your address, and the purpose of your petition.
Yes, my name is Sean Smith with Cranston Engineering Group. Our address is 452 Ellis Street, Augusta, Georgia. The purpose of our petition is to rezone this particular property to heavy industrial due to the above ground storage tank. I want to emphasize that the actual use of this property is predominantly light industrial. It is just the above ground storage tank is what started this process or required the process.
Thank you. Any other information you want to add to that?
No, sir.
Is there anyone in objection of this petition?
No, not present.
All right, is there anyone online who's in objection of this petition?
You know we're online.
Commissioners, do you have any questions of the petitioner? And I guess the only question I would have the petitioner, I believe in our report, the fuel tank is a double wall structure.
Yes, sir, it is double wall.
In an event of a fire, is it possible for it to threaten the neighborhood that is on the other side of the expressway?
No, sir, I don't believe so. Usually these types of tanks usually have pressure valves, and so I don't believe so.
Okay. In the event of an explosion, you think there's enough fire suppression on site to prevent that from bothering the neighborhood abutting you to the I believe that's to the north of you? Northwest of you. Where that green is to the upper left corner. Yes.
I don't have that distance, but just looking at it, it looks really far from this tank. I can't guarantee it, but I would say it would be highly unlikely.
Okay, thank you. Staff, if there are no other questions, staff?
The planning development staff recommends approval of the zoning request subject to the following conditions. There's 7. The concept plan supplied with the zoning application is for illustrative purposes only and does not indicate approval of the site plan in the future. Number 2, any future project on the subject property shall comply with all development standards and regulations set forth by the city of Augusta, Georgia at the time of development. Number 3, any future development on the property to include the proposed above-ground fueling area and the above-ground fuel storage tank should be constructed to be substantially free from flooding. An as-built certification letter from a Georgia licensed design engineer must be submitted prior to usage of the proposed above-ground fueling area and above-ground fuel storage tank, certifying that the above-ground fueling area and the above-ground fuel storage tank were constructed to be substantially free from flooding. Number 4, the above-ground fueling area and the above-ground fuel storage tank must be anchored to prevent flotation and lateral movement. Number 5, the above-ground fueling area and the above-ground storage must meet all of the requirements of the Augusta Fire Department, and construction must be approved by the Augusta Fire Department prior to usage. Number 6, Corps of Engineers permitting is required for any wetlands disturbance and must be submitted prior to issuance of a land disturbance permit. And number 7, a street yard in compliance with the Augusta tree ordinance is required on all 4 road frontages at the time of development.
Is the petition willing to adhere to those recommendations by staff?
Yes, sir.
Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve with recommendations.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve on the floor. Commissioner Trammell,
Yes.
Commissioner McCauley,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Pittman,
Yes.
Commissioner Ellis,
Yes.
Commissioner Poozer,
Yes.
Commissioner Bartlett,
Yes.
Commissioner Cooks, Commissioner Cooks, Commissioner Spencer.
Yes.
Yes, from Cooks.
Thank you. Motion carried.
Yeah. All right, so that's our last case. From our attorney, do we have any concerns from our legal sessions for real estate?
No, we do not.
Personnel,
No,
litigation?
not at this time.
Okay, motion to approve minutes from March 1.
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
List of development plans for March.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposes? A list of site plans for March 2021.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have one nay. Okay. All right, so that closes out our regular session.
To adjourn the session.
I have one question. It's Ms. Bartlett,
Commissioner Bartlett,
right? Are we still having training on April 15th? Because there was I was a little bit confused because I was originally going to take the UGA training, but I can't because I have other CLE that day. Are we having the group training on the 15th?
Yes, it is April 15th, 9:30 a.m.
Downtown?
Yes,
Okay. In the planning commission office? Yes.
in the training room, yes.
Training room. Okay, great. Thank you.
okay. So now, Lois, do we need to take a motion to open this or do we proceed to open it for public
We
hearing?
can take a motion to open the meeting, yes.
Commissioners, I entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposes? Okay. And
Yes.
Yes.
Come on up. Are you speaking for it, or well, it's just public comment, so it doesn't matter. Is Commissioner Johnson or Ms. Dowse on the phone?
Mrs. Dowse is on the line.
Ms. Dowse, did you want to open with an opening statement?
I would defer to Commissioner Johnson if he's present. If not, I will do so.
Mariah, do we have Commissioner Johnson on?
I do not see him on the call.
Okay, well, I'll be more than happy to do so. Are you ready now?
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Takia Dowse, the Central Services Director, of which the placement of monuments and markers flows through my office. I received a request from Commissioner Jordan Johnson to rename Hillside Park after famed boxer Vernon Forrest. As you may know, Mr. Forrest was a boxer through the Augusta Boxing Club here in Augusta and was unfortunately and untimely murdered in Atlanta in an attempted robbery. I've spoken with both Commissioner Johnson as well as Director Maurice McDowell of Parks and Recreation, who agrees that this would be appropriate in renaming Hillside Park located at 2101 Telfair Street in honor of Mr. Forrest. Director McDowell has also stated that they are only looking to do a minimum sign change reflecting the name and not anything that would require any additional permits or approvals at this point. And that's all that I have.
And we have one member of the public that would like to comment. Present.
Hello, I'm George Clements. I live at 2037 Telfair Street, Augusta, Georgia. I grew up around that park and it's been in my life ever since I was born. And my point is, Mr. Foster was a great guy, but I think it would be serving him better if it was around the Augusta Boxing Club. Like there's a park named Mary Street Park or Central Park, which is only 4 blocks away and easier to get to from Augusta Boxing Club. And I think renaming Mary Street Park would be a lot better than naming Hillside Park Vernon Foster Park, because Hillside is about 9 blocks away and nobody really probably wouldn't even know how to get there. And Mary Street would be just 4 blocks down and very easy to get to from Augusta Boxing Club. And I think it would honor Mr. Forrest a lot better to have Mary Street named after him instead of Hillside. That's all I have to say, sir.
Thank you for your comments. I believe we have a couple more people joining online.
Commissioner Johnson is joining the meeting now.
Commissioner Johnson.
Hello.
Hi. Could you share your thoughts with us regarding this subject?
Absolutely. You know, first of all, thank you everyone for your service to Augusta and your willingness to take on this matter. When the idea came forward to name Hillside Park in honor of Vernon Forrest, the thought behind it was pretty simple. You know, Vernon Forrest grew up in Augusta, specifically in the Harrisburg neighborhood. He went to the Boys and Girls Club, and after he became an adult, he spent time at the Boys and Girls Club as a partner, servicing the students in Harrisburg. Unfortunately, he was taken from us too soon. As someone who knew Mr. Forrest as a young man, I believe I was 14 years old when he passed away. But as a young man, as a teen, and as a preteen, I remember seeing him be active in the community, seeing him be active not only in the Harrisburg community, but in communities that I grew up in, like Southside, which is Dogwood Terrace now. His contributions as a community partner served so many young people in this community, especially in the Harrisburg neighborhood. And I think that it would be appropriate for us to honor him in this way. Not often, we don't have many instances where we can point to individuals like Mr. Forrest, and I don't want to say celebrities like Mr. Forrest, but we all know the contribution that he gave to the sports world, to the world of entertainment. But someone who put their whole self into serving communities, put their whole self into serving disadvantaged neighborhoods. Not only did he put his whole heart into it, he put his money into it by creating nonprofits to address issues that we're still attempting to solve today. But Mr. Forrest definitely got the ball rolling. Not only does his work resonate right here in Richmond County, but all over this state, we can feel the impact that Vernon Forrest had on neighborhoods. And so I feel that it is extremely relevant. It is extremely important that we honor Mr. Forrest by naming a park in Harrisburg that we all spend time at. I can't say for certain that he spent time there, but I can certainly say that the neighborhood that the park is in the middle of, the students that frequent that park, families that go to the park, they all have felt Vernon's impact either directly or indirectly. And especially just through his mentorship and his philanthropy to Augusta's youth. That is something that we should all be thankful for, even in his death. Like I said before, unfortunately, he was taken from us too soon. But it's never too late to honor such a giant of a human being, someone who stood for decency, someone who stood for the common good, someone who stood for love, someone who stood for our children, for everything that we say that we hold dear, that we love, that we hope for, making sure that our children are well-rounded individuals. That was Vernon Forrest, and he was that before that was cool. And so I would just again employ us to do this. The family is extremely excited about the possibility of honoring Mr. Forrest in this community. And again, this is timely. And especially being that Mr. Forrest would have celebrated his 50th birthday this year. So this is timely. His legacy certainly lives on. He was a champion inside the ring and outside of the ring. And we should appreciate that here in Richmond County. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to the commission.
Are there any other comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Pittman.
Did Commissioner Johnson, did you hear the gentleman earlier on who said that there was a park closer to the Boys and girls club, or rather the boxing club. Have you looked at that part?
Commissioner Pittman, no, sir. I didn't hear the statement before. No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner McCollum.
I think what the gentleman was referring to was some years ago, the Augusta Boxing Club, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was in the Harrisburg neighborhood. And that may be what Commissioner Johnson is referring to, that at one time Vernon Forest did box competitively at the Augusta Boxing Club, which was located not in its current location right now, but was in, if I'm not mistaken, somebody correct me, the Harrisburg neighborhood community. So it almost would be appropriate to go back to that time when he, as a boxer, was practicing his skill in the Harrisburg neighborhood.
Commissioner McCauley, this is Commissioner
Yeah.
Cooks.
Mm-hmm.
The boxing club still is in Harrisburg. It just fronts on Walton Way. That's all.
Right, but there was another building that it was located in, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but it was down the street. When it moved over there near that old Wife Saver that was torn. I mean, Save a Lot grocery store that was torn down.
Right.
Appreciate that history, Commissioner McCauley. I did not know that myself. Are there any other comments?
No.
And if there are no other comments, Lois, do we take a motion to close the public hearing portion?
Yes, please.
To adjourn.
Do we have a second to the motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposes? All right. So
Thank you all for your
appreciate that.
time. Thank you very much.
And this was a good one.
Carla, we'll see you what time on Thursday?
9:30 a.m.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Sue.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
It almost took a residency here.